Grapplies. The time has finally come. The camera is finally set, and we are here. It is time. Welcome, everyone, to the Court Martial Podcast. I am your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty, here today, waiting for the live stream to actually start. If it hasn't already, it has. It has. Okay, so it's just my laptop being stupid, and that's okay. That is fine with me. Now, how are you two gentlemen doing? Because I am not here alone. Because I can never do these things alone. Because it is a Karishima time. And it is always a good time to be here. Oh, here we go. Now I said I've got a different monitor here where I'm monitoring all of your comments, concerns, and whatever else you're doing. But meanwhile, I've got the man who started this podcast before this live stream started, the master of TAW Gaming, Josh Again. How are you, my friend, once again?
I am good, my sir. I have the Senate with me.
Oh, God.
So
Sir, put that away. I don't know where it's been.
So is this the ending of movie 8 that we basically said that we would fanfix and have Kylo Ren murder the children of the Jedi?
It's Joshua Skywalker. Credits.
Yeah.
Da da da
Oh,
da da
God.
da 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 da.
Oh, God.
But
Who are you?
meanwhile,
Joshua who? Joshua Skywalker.
Joshua Skywalker,
Yeah,
credits.
that's
That's the whole Grapplies, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had fun. Meanwhile, we have to introduce the man who is talking about murdering children within the first 2 minutes of the podcast. Like always, the man of the hour, the man with the power. He's too sweet to be sour. He is the Bay Area brawler himself, Skylar Greenberg. How you doing, buddy?
Having a good time and mazel tov to everybody. Happy Halloween and happy Hanukkah. Whatever.
Happy everything. Happy Memorial Day, Tony Schiavone. This is off to a terrific start. I have high hopes for this podcast.
Get to him. Trust me, we'll get to him.
Yeah, I have high hopes for this podcast. Oh, we didn't even get to commentary. Oh, I didn't even put that as a category, but we'll add it in anyway. But we have got a long list of the Grapplies to get through. Now, folks, if you have never been a part of this before, let me break it down for you. Basically, what we do here is it is our award show for professional wrestling. The best wrestler, male, female, tag team, promo, meaning the best talker of the year, the best match of the year, booker, show, feud, who's the most improved, what was the biggest, like, what the hell moment or you know, you stupid idiot moment of the year, or oh my God, thank God moment, you know, all of that zaniness, as well as commentary now that we've actually laid that on the table here in this early going. But we're also doing the worst. That's this belt right here. As I'm showing it to the camera here on the live stream, this is the worst. If you suck, you get this. It even says it. Look at that on the belt. I'm going to go back and forth. It says, Grapplies, you suck. You suck.
For those of
you suck.
For those of you watching the TAP, you'll just have to take his word for it.
And no, you can come over here and take a look for a change instead of hearing our podcast a week later, which is my fault. I'm not blaming anybody. That's 100% on me. And here is the regular Grapply. This is the one you get if you are actually exemplary at your job. Look at that guy right there. And I'm going to just put it back and forth. Look at that beautifulness right there.
Now, hold on, Sean. I have a question already.
I have answers. Maybe.
So this is for the entirety of wrestling, which means every wrestling company, although we're mainly going to talk about the main two, correct?
It's for whatever we've seen, is the way that I put it. So, like, there's going to be a bunch of Marks, and probably Steves, and Chris's, and Justin's, and all sorts of other basement-dwelling people going, well, you didn't call this match that was in the Best Twisted Metal Championship in 1995. And
hey, you leave Twisted Metal out of this.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I would say. That is exactly my retort. You leave. We're not counting all that stuff that we don't bother to watch. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to speak on some things, because I might have some opinions about certain people and certain actions in certain places. And so we're going to leave that up to our discretion. But the way this works is that we're all going to nominate one person for each category, and then we decide from there who's going to be the winner of between the three nominees, and that is the person who wins either the best Grapply, this guy right her, or the worst Grapply, this guy right her. So, with that said, I'm going to stand up defiantly because mainly so it's easier to actually get the camera to see everything. Because I am a tiny strip of a man right now. And that is just the way that this stream is gone. But that is okay. I'm going to frame myself right over here. Don't mind me. And members of Totally Awesome Podcast, get punished. I really have no other comment except that. But shall we get this show on the road? Does anyone have any comments about what's going to happen before we actually get things going here and give our nominees?
I like it when you punish me.
I bet.
So, to try and bring it back to reality and stuff, 2024 was a very interesting year in wrestling, and in many ways, it marks a beginning and an end to a lot of things. And you'll see through the show what we mean, but it kind of feels like we're healing a little bit.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, Skylar. And actually, it's funny you say that because I actually have 2023's winners here. I have the sheet that we made. And this sheet, when we do each category, I'm going to talk about the winner because I think we're going to find some stark differences in what we have this year versus what last year was. So, shall we get crack-a-lackin'? I'm taking this hat off. It's too sweaty, and I am a Baldy McBalderson, so...
I forgot my ring, so I had to put my rings on real quick. But I would like to say that this, honestly, has been one of the most... We thought 2023 was kind of chaotic. Things got ramped up a lot this year.
Oh, yeah.
And in a lot of ways for the better. Some ways for the worse, but a lot of ways for the better. This has been one of my favorite years in wrestling since I became a fan of wrestling.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of all of that basically in it. But we begin, as I'm going to use this wonderful dice I got for Christmas. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Merry anything else you're doing in December. Happy December, you crazy cats.
If you celebrate Kwanzaa, go fuck yourself.
If you I don't share that.
Okay, and we have officially pissed off the Middle East.
Is that
They're always pissed off. They can deal with it.
I feel like I have to write a disclaimer now, but you know what? We're already too deep. We're in too deep, folks, and we're just gonna have to roll with what we got. And I rolled a 4, and that means that we're gonna start with a category that I think might actually be something of a climax of the evening. The worst female wrestler of the year.
Oh, Christ.
And the worst...
Who was the worst last year?
So the worst female wrestler last year, if I take a look, I will read to you who everybody nominated. I nominated Shotzi Blackheart, Skylar nominated Saraya, and Joshua nominated Nia Jax, and Nia Jax won this exact belt 1 year ago. So, Josh, again, because you're the one who actually got the successful nomination passed, who is your nominee for Worst Female Wrestler of the Year?
This person is someone that I groan every time I hear her name mentioned. She drives me crazy. Like I hate her matches. She had like 2 decent-ish matches this year. Her whole, just to use a Zoomer term, aura just makes me want to kill myself. My nomination for Worst Female Wrestler of the Year is Mercedes Moné.
Mercedes Moné. Okay.
She is a dog. I've never liked Sasha Banks. I've always thought she was overrated. This has been a horrendous year for her. Her promos are bad. If I ever see her use the Meteora again, I'm going to take that lightsaber that my brother got me for Christmas today and impale myself on it.
While it's in rave mode?
Huh?
While it's in rave mode?
Yes. My dead body will be spasming to the rave. But yeah, she's terrible. I hate her. She's the worst. And she is actively, like, the AEW women's division has always been terrible. She's finding ways to make it even more worthless. She's the Chris Jericho of the women's division in AEW.
Oh, it's funny you say that, actually. And she's getting paid a lot of money to do it, too. So, Mercedes Moné is the nomination. Skylar.
She's not a tenth of that.
Your nomination for the worst female of the year.
An observation that was made by us the last couple years is that there's really not many gimmicks anymore. Like, people don't really have gimmicks. And after this woman's gimmick, I don't know if there should be any gimmicks. What started out as cute and started out as entertaining quickly devolved into some of the worst cringy moments I have ever seen. And the wrestling could not make up for it. For a person who I personally thought was going to be one of the stars of professional wrestling for women's wrestling in the next 5 to 10 years, has quickly very much dumbed herself down to the point where I don't want to see this woman. And I am not a fan of what she's doing right now, and I'm not a fan of what she's going to do in 2025 because I already know it's going to be bad. Give me Toni Storm. Timeless or not, it was a bad year.
Wow.
It's sad that it's gotten to that point.
And again, it's not even necessarily the matches, although the matches don't help. It's all the cartoony gimmick bullshit with the movie star actress thing that just, it was fun at first and then it got too much.
Do you know what she's doing now?
Yeah, she's doing a gimmick where she has amnesia and going to AEW.
It's funny that I'm wearing a Shadow the Hedgehog shirt because she's doing Shadow the Hedgehog in Sonic Heroes. I have no memory. Where is my past? Where is it? It must be somewhere around here.
Yeah, but I still feel like somehow Toni Storm's gimmick would be played better by Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, because Keanu Reeves has a lot of history he would like to forget.
That's what I mean. It's like Toni Storm doesn't have a dog, does she? Anyway.
Or a Maria.
Yes, or
she
a
had
Maria.
A Mariah.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
The less said better.
Well, I love puns. And, well, here's the thing. It's been difficult for me because I don't watch any AEW. Although I have caught a couple of random episodes here and there this year as I was, like, in hotel rooms on Wednesday nights.
That's why you randomly were, like, having temper tantrums at random parts of the year. I figured you were watching AEW again.
Well, there were. I mean, it really is funny how that is the case. And it's always Moxley for whatever reason. I saw more of him this year than I...
Oh, we will get to him.
No, trust me, we'll get to him. Yeah, we're going to get into his ass. But the worst female wrestler of the year, I gave this to the person who is getting paid the most to do the least and is getting the least effectively across. And this is where I have actually sided with Josh again on this one. I am nominating Mercedes Moné because, I mean, it's not even just that her work is bad and she's proven all of us to have been right for the past, like, 4 years. Actually, probably longer than that. How long have we been saying this? That Mercedes Moné is fourth.
It's been really the last 2. Because, like, remember when she went to New Japan and, like, she's going to change the world with New Japan and she got hurt?
She had a match that was decent. And that was about it. And
not that show.
Yeah,
yes, you were.
CM Punk's hand.
Yep.
And I didn't. I'm sad.
That's right. Well, we're going to get to CM Punk later, too. But I think Mercedes Moné, I mean, you just think about how much she's getting paid, how much her gimmick is just not working, and how much she is destroying Camille in the process. There is no one who is more destructive to women's wrestling right now than Mercedes Moné.
He's actively driving people away.
Yeah, and that's including Chelsea Green, by the way, who I have to add into that list as well, who I actually do not despise that much as I used to. The more that I watch her, the more I'm like, okay, I get it, but it's annoying, but I get it.
She's a perfectly good mid-card heel champion, which she is now.
So great. Glad we've got labels. And so,
but to be honest, no. Here's the thing: I will take the opportunity, even though this woman is not going to win. The worst WWE woman is Naomi. Came back with potential and is not good.
I don't know that that's necessarily her fault, though. I feel like that's more.
I don't know if it's her fault.
But she's being shoehorned into stuff, and her talent level is not good enough to carry the things that she's doing. Also, I've watched a lot of SmackDown, and her matches are not good.
Yeah,
And also, there aren't any like super terrible WWE wrestlers, and if they are, we ignore them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, most of the booking makes up for it at this point. That it hardly matters.
The main thing I can say about Naomi is that she's just the rave setting on my new lightsaber.
I understand.
But yeah, I have to agree. Mercedes Moné, absolutely. Even though I nominated Toni Storm, Mercedes has been worse.
All right. Well, Mercedes, congratulations on your very first You Suck Grapply. It is an honor that not many people get. And maybe not the last, because your contract is long. And Tony just
Here's
got
your
renewed.
Grapply. Here's your
Oh, trust
stuff.
me, she's gonna get nominated for something else later.
Oh boy.
All right,
And we might have.
I can't wait. All right. Well, going by the dice roll, we are now at we're still in the worst category. We're going to go to another big category. Worst match of the year. Now the
Ooh.
now
Chance
2023.
it might be unanimous.
2023, the worst match of the year. The nominees were on my end, Liv Morgan and Raquel versus Ronda and Shayna at Money in the Bank, which was bad.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh god.
Skylar's was Saraya versus Britt Baker versus Tony Storm versus someone, is what I wrote down. So I'm not sure what the result of that was. And
The original Wembley four-way match.
yes, and
That's the one that Saraya won the AEW World Title because British.
yes, and Josh Again once again picked the winner, which was Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. But that match was a big old bag of booty holes. So, Josh Again, you once again have the honors of being the first nominee for worst match of the year.
Listen, man, I've seen some this has been one of the best years in wrestling, but there's been a lot of god awful crap. But nothing made me just throw my hands up in frustration and say, "Stop doing that!" more than this match made me do. And the fact that the following night they had a 30-second cameo that was infinitely better than everything they did previously. It's Jimmy versus Jay at WrestleMania 40. My God. Come on!
Come on! That almost became a meme for us over the whole course of the year.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
They did 3 things the whole match. Super kick, splash, come on.
Bad spear. Don't forget bad spears. Worse than Britney. And
Oh god.
too soon? Too soon?
It's been 24 years. 24 years.
Oh, man.
Oh, that was terrific. Okay.
Old ass
Skylar.
millennials over here talking about Britney Spears in 2000.
Skylar.
He still makes weird dance videos on TikTok.
Yeah. You know
Holding
what?
Sharp objects.
I hope she lives her best life. In all seriousness, I hope she lives her best life. I have nothing against Britney Spears. Britney, if you are in danger, blink once is an actual line from a song I wrote many years ago. So I have always been caring about Britney's well-being. Just saying. Anyway, Skylar, your worst match of the year.
Can I say every AEW match?
Well, yeah, but we don't have that much time to go through that.
No. Okay. So there are a couple of good AEW matches, so I'm not going to say every AEW match, even though I want to. But nothing quite hits the visceral image of a needle in somebody's face. And to me, that just turned me off what was supposed to be a supercharged match, do a supercharged feud, whatever. Paige and Swerve Strickland sucked.
Yeah, that's probably gonna win. I mean, because like, truth be told, it's apples and oranges versus like what the bad quality of one, like Jimmy Uso just not knowing more than about 2 or 3 English words at the biggest match of his career is in no way anywhere near the kind of level of garbage that AEW perpetrates on a regular basis. So probably by default, that's probably going to end up winning, because that is a.
But there are other terrible AEW matches.
Oh, there are. I mean, that's barely
You're gonna
scratching
hate
the
me.
surface.
I actually really liked that match. You're gonna hate me for that. But
I'm shockingly not shocked. But here's my nomination, and as soon as you're gonna be like, "Where's he going with this?" But the second that I say it, you're gonna be like, "Oh, I understand." So there's this wrestling match concept called Money in the Bank, and I'm not a fan of this gimmick. I used to be, but it's been a really, really long time, and we've done a lot of these, and they've been proven not to mean anything anymore. And at Money in the Bank 2024, Drew the McIntyre used all of his Goodyear strength to win that Money in the Bank. And then what we got shortly thereafter was one of the most frustratingly annoying matches I have ever seen, with botches from pretty much every damn buddy. And then I turned into a whiny little bitch. And so I have a very sour taste in my mouth about this matchup. And I still believe that this match was maybe one of the worst that either of these guys have had. Well, no, one of these guys faced the Fiend in a Hell in a Cell. So I guess I can't say that. I guess I can't say that. But this was one of the worst WWE matches of the year. And I was going to say Jimmy versus Jay as well. And I also want to give a nod to the Women's War Games, because that was a big old bag of booty holes as well. But my nomination is Damian Priest versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, also known as Let's Stare Down the Ramp and Look Distracted, both guys, all night, and then have the ref fuck up a 3 count. The end.
They weren't exactly on their A game. I did not hate that match anywhere near as much as you did.
No, you did not. No, you did not.
But I get it. I get it.
But this
is a tough one, because we got 3 solid matches, and I don't know if any of the 3 of us are going to move off of our matches.
Well, I will concede mine and more lean towards Skylar's, just for the fact that it's like it's part of it is the imagery that counts, and because all the AEW matches feel and look the exact same all the time, like with the exception of maybe like Will Ospreay occasionally, or what Bryan Danielson has done. At least that's in my opinion from what little I've watched of AEW of this past calendar year, because all I get is fucking Moxley. And so I'm not necessarily going to say that mine was like I said before, the referee missing a 3 count and both guys just looking at a ramp is not anywhere near the level of degeneracy that happens on AEW television on a regular basis. So I'm more towards leaning to that, but I could understand why Jay and Jimmy is definitely it's memorable, and for all the wrong reasons. In a feud that really was basically nailing everything else from all cylinders.
What gets it for me, I already said, but on night 2, they had a brief 20-second skirmish that was a million times better than the full-length match they had 24 hours prior. That's what.
And also the fact that we've seen Jey Uso have good matches with other people besides his brother
and his cousin.
Yeah, it's like so. Are we making something of a consensus that we're going with Jimmy and Jay then? What's the call here, boys?
Oh yeah, wait, hold on. They had the fucking rapper there too, who was pronounced as the greatest rapper of all time.
I forgot about that.
Oh yeah.
Lil Wayne high as hell faded.
Was that Lil Wayne?
Okay,
that was Lil Wayne hammered as fuck.
Yeah, the greatest.
Oh my
rapper
god,
of
I
all
totally
time.
forgot about that.
Okay, you know what? You were convincing me one way.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I think the fact, especially considering that Snoop Dogg crushed it earlier, like every other rapper they had there crushed it, and then Lil Wayne is out there just like half holding on, not even going onto the beat. Like, oh man, that was classically funny. And then the match just stunk afterwards.
You have unearthed like deeply buried trauma.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. But you know what?
I was thinking like there was something else I hated about the Jimmy and Jay match. I'm like, oh yeah, Lil Wayne was there too.
That's right. Okay. Well.
And they offended you by calling him the greatest rapper of all time.
Oh my God! I forgot
we
that.
recorded that show.
Yeah.
How dare we mess with Tupac's name?
All right. Well,
Jimmy and Jay, worst match of the year.
Jimmy and Jay, you have earned this Grapply for the shittiest match of the year. Well, but we're just getting started, folks, and we just rolled that number. And now we're still in the, hold on, nope, we're going to good stuff now. Now, this one I think is going to be pretty quick, to tell you the truth. It's the best show of the year. I get the feeling that this is not going to take much. because I will go for
WrestleMania 40.
well,
Night 1.
let's see.
Bullshit.
You rebel.
Night 2, of course. Night 2. We gave
Night 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even gonna get into this. So here it is. You completely earned this, WWE. This is your. I mean, This is your Grapply. You have earned this. You have 100% earned this. Would you like to hear what we gave last year?
Yes.
And it also had to do with Triple H because it is almost guaranteed him that ran it. It was another unanimous decision of WrestleMania 39 Night 1 with Sammy and Kevin winning the tag belts from the Usos. How far the mighty have fallen in a year. To which I'm sure they would say, come on.
But hey, Triple H knows how to book a Mania. He's proven that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he knows how to book half a Mania.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
That's what they should call WrestleMania Night 1 from now on. Well, because it's not the whole show. The real main event is Night 2.
Show.
The real main event is Night 2. So welcome to Half a Mania. Here's the first half, and then you get the second half. I love that, Skylar.
Other Half-a-Mania.
The other Half a Mania. I love it. I love it.
It's a great gimmick.
It is. And now SummerSlam's going to get cut into 2 as well, so we're going to have even more to decipher. All right, we are now at, I think this is also going to be pretty quick. This is another Grapply, another one of the best. This is the Booker of the Year. Is there anyone else we could possibly nominate other than Triple H?
Hiroshi Tanahashi from New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Oh, shut up. It's Triple H.
Yeah, when even Josh again is telling you to shut up.
He immediately booked himself to win that ugly cardboard TV title.
Yes, we all nominate one of the letter H to give it to Booker of the Year.
Conan from Triple A.
And not The Rock,
Speaking of cardboard belts.
because I'm not giving him that credit. All right, well, Triple H, and also unanimously last year, Triple H, this is his second consecutive Booker of the Year, although we did give a little nod to Scott D'Amore before that whole thing. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Yes, we will.
But we're moving right along here, and we're still in the best category. This is going to be a fun one. Feud of the Year. Now, I think this is also going to be quick, but there have been some late-stage nominees, I think. And we also have to acknowledge what also happened at the beginning of the year. So there's quite a number of nominations, I think, beyond just the ones that, like, each of us do. So I'm open to having all of us throw a couple of names into the hat here to mull over. Because I think there's like 4 or 5 different feuds that could do it. I think one's going to win it. And because it was unanimous, Sky, I'm going to let you start with this one. Your nomination for Feud of the Year.
To say that this man was on an odyssey is an understatement. And from a clear decision that he did not like, to having to basically rebound for an entire year and fight ever-increasing odds of politics and other stuff. Cody Rhodes versus the Isle of Samoa, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I think especially with the way that it culminated and how it all went down. Those 3 months last year from January to April were a fucking ride.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with Cody versus the what do we call it? The OG bloodline, new bloodline, whatever. The stuff with teaming with Roman Reigns. It's been, the bloodline continues to be the main thing that WWE had to draw a stern with.
Yep.
Because everything revolves around Roman Reigns and what his people do.
So Cody versus the bloodline basically is what you're throwing into the hat here. I mean, I understand what you're saying because there's so much nuance between them, but like I get you.
But that's kind of what loses the award, is that while Cody was in a great feud against the bloodline, both old and new, whether it was Roman or Solo Sikoa, it's hard because it's a changing entity and it's not 2 specific people.
Right.
And that's what kind of loses a little bit of the luster.
But it's still a valid nomination. Josh, again, your nomination for Feud of the Year.
That's a pretty good one. What kind of ends it for me is while it was pretty much Cody versus the Bloodline, it wasn't like the whole year because it was like Cody was basically like, okay, I won my belt. Now I'm gonna go do a bunch of side quests in this open world Legend of Zelda game that I'm playing. Side quest with Logan Paul. Side quest with Gunther for this belt that will never leave Saudi Arabia. But here's a nice ring.
And AJ Styles for 2 matches.
Yeah, that was pretty good as well. My feud is a feud that happened basically. It was not the feud that they originally wanted to do, which would have been gold, but
and might still be.
Might still be. We will see. But it turned into something utterly spectacular. I have never seen a feud be so good that went on for so long without anyone actually having a match. You already know what it is.
I do.
CM Punk and Drew McIntyre had one of the best feuds I've ever seen. Literally,
I gave you the gimme.
Literally everything about this was absolutely marvelous.
Yeah.
Like, I was so invested in this from the beginning. Like, ever since Drew McIntyre uttered the words, "You got injured," I prayed for this to happen, and it did. And then he stomped on his injured arm. I was like, I am locked in for this. And at WrestleMania, when Punk screwed him because Drew McIntyre was waving his dick in front of Punk's face on the announce table, that led to the cash-in. Then what happened at Scotland, and then in Chicago, and then at Money in the Bank, and regardless of Sean's thoughts on that little hiccup, then they had a beautiful, wonderful, awesome match at SummerSlam. They had an awesome match in Berlin, and they had one of the best Hell in a Cell matches of all time to cap it off. There are some good nominations, but in my opinion, there's a clear front runner, and it is CM Punk and Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, that's kind of what I meant when I said I think I know who's going to win, and I really don't think that it's close. But I am going to add another name into the hat here. Just because, well, it's actually more out of a place of vanity than anything else, because I thought of this feud before they did it. So either Triple H has been plucking things from my brain, or I'm talking out loud too much by myself, and their satellites are just picking it up. But what's blossomed lately, and it started in Berlin, and it was a slow burn, but it was something that I thought was going to be necessary, especially with all the talk of whether he was going to stay in WWE. And it seems to have really helped cement him as one of the top names still to this day in the WWE. And it kind of really started to boil over these past couple of months. But the slow but sure made case for Kevin Owens and how much he sacrificed for Cody Rhodes, and how there's been no thank you, there's been no gratitude. It's like, here's a world title match, I don't deserve it. Then not having the balls to pull the trigger, and then finally him getting pissed off that Cody Rhodes is teaming up with Roman Reigns, and then all of that. And the pile driver, the trust that they're giving him to do pile drivers. You know, they're breaking boundaries with Kevin Owens right now in a way that he so desperately needed. And I've loved this because I love all the people, the fans that are going, well, yeah, Kevin is right. And even more so that Jesse Ventura was actually able to adequately articulate that on Saturday night's main event, which was maybe one of the biggest jaw-dropping moments of the year, was Jesse Ventura's beyond competency at the commentary table. But my nomination for this, it's not going to win because Drew and Punk, again, is in a league of its own. But I'm nominating Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens for the subtle tease that Cody will eventually turn heel as a result of his tyrannical power going to his head now that he's achieved the dream that his dad could not.
That's a pretty good nomination. I won't lie. That is a pretty good one.
And since we're allowed to do multiple nominations, can I throw out a couple more?
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Because this is the opportunity for us to talk about the good stuff in wrestling.
Yeah, I love that.
You can't just knock it down to 3.
Let's do it.
Because probably the top women's feud of the year, despite the fact that nobody wanted it, was Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley.
I hate the amount of credit that I'm going to force myself to give Liv Morgan on this video.
But she has legitimately improved. Is she going to be what we want her to be? No, but she's serviceable.
Well,
I don't like saying nice things about her. It feels wrong.
Yeah, I totally I understand that, but I agree. I mean, we're gonna get to that when we get to another category, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth. But it is true. I mean, it was. I want to say it was a slow burn, but the only reason it was a slow burn is that Rhea kept getting hurt all the time. And that's really
Yeah.
what made it kind of not in the kind of the upper tier of feuds for me. Is just that like it was so choppy. And
But isn't that the same thing that we said about CM Punk and Drew McIntyre?
yeah, I mean, well, and that kind of made the feud, and as did Rhea's injury, did kind of make what Liv Morgan is now. So I guess I can't necessarily. I guess I don't have an argument for that. That's a fair point.
I think the thing though is that like it did kind of stall momentum, especially because like as much as I like Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, they're not CM Punk and Drew McIntyre on the microphone, especially Liv.
No, and they're not invoking the kind of emotion that Drew and Punk were in that feud. I mean, that is one of the most old school feuds I've seen WWE have in a long time, where it felt like they really did hate each other. And they tried as best they can to keep that alive. And still
speaking
do.
of that, this is going to be interesting because this is a multi-year feud that is still going on, and it has a lot of legs. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins.
Yeah. I think this coming year is going to have a lot of interesting things. I'm very much intrigued about what they're planning to do with the New Day.
Me too. Me too.
They're taking them in a direction I am really invested in, but I don't know what the end game is yet. But if it's going to lead to like Big E coming back at WrestleMania and being able to work again or something like that, that could end up being something that we're talking about in a year's time on Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of great
but
potential
until that time, like feud of the year, absolutely is CM Punk and Drew
Punk
McIntyre.
and Drew, without a doubt.
Real quick, I just want to say, whoever's idea was it to go, let's fly Kofi Kingston's mom to Raw just so she can shit on him.
Just to walk
Whoever
out on
came
him.
up with that,
Yeah.
give that person a raise.
Yeah, and then Kofi
They're giving a
Kingston.
lot of people raises.
And then Kofi Kingston acting like every Italian ever, going, Ma! Ma! I'm sorry, Ma!
Yeah, come on, Ma.
No, it was great. I love it. They've been doing wonderfully. Well, we're going to keep the vibes high for the moment because we're going to be talking about talking. It is promo of the year. By the way, congratulations to Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. Feud of the year last year, because we didn't talk about it yet. I nominated Ray and Dominic. Skylar nominated Cody and Brock, as well as Sammy versus the Bloodline. Josh again just nominated Bloodline. And the winner was Bloodline versus Sammy. So it's amazing just how much more diverse. And by the way, something to take notes on. Remember how business took a serious hit when the NWO split in half? Notice how that did not happen when the Bloodline split in half?
Because you actually had people that were interested in doing things for the betterment of the story and the company instead of people just like, this will make me more money.
Sir.
Oh, that's cool.
Sir, that does not, in fact, work for me, brother. And
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And we're not giving Hulk Hogan promo of the year either. I don't care what speech he makes. I don't think he's not winning it.
He's not deserving of that, I don't think. But mainly for consistency. He cut one promo all year. Fuck that dude. Anyway.
It was for Trump.
And for nothing else, for consistency. But in any case, the promo of the year last year went to, I nominated LA Knight, Skylar nominated CM Punk, Josh again voted Cody Rhodes, and I guess we came to the consensus that all three won it equally. So they have a lay cool hold over the title. So let's start with Josh Geddon, your nomination for Best Talker of the Year.
Dude, my nomination could also be like, I'm going to nominate someone else for Most Improved. But this is some of the most improved promo work because previously this dude was right on the mic. But man, when his character shifted last year, his promo work has been so insane. and it kind of goes into what we nominated a second ago. He's so entertaining on the mic. He's so hilarious. I love everything he says and does on the mic. My nomination for promo of the year is Drew McIntyre.
An adequate nomination.
This dude is straight up fire on the microphone, and I adore him. I love Drew McIntyre on the mic so much, especially this year.
It's nice to see Drew nominated for so many good awards, considering that the first Grapplies we did was in 2020 when he basically dominated, if I recall.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that after a few years of kind of tread water that he's back to a level of prominence. That's very cool. Skylar, your nomination for this.
So for this, I have to go with somebody who you can tell English is not his first language, but now that he's improved with the language and is doing some of the best burns I've seen in a long time, to get both sides of Bret Hart and Goldberg over to get heat on himself. There's a lot. Give it to Gunther.
You know what? I didn't even consider that, but that's a dark horse nomination.
That is very valid.
That is a very valid point. That's hilarious. I forgot about that.
Luther made me bust out laughing.
In two what are the chances that they were able to convince those two to do that for WWE? It's like that was pretty wild when you think about some of the insane moments of this 2024 wrestling year.
Gunther has perfected the art of being a smug dick.
Yeah.
He's so good at it.
Well, and that's the fascinating thing for me, because I'm now here going, who is it that I really have found fun listening to? Like, if no matter what they do, and it's really kind of sad that MJF isn't even gonna get like a shout out in this point, because it's just like AEW just destroys everybody and everything. Especially the things we love. It's like almost on purpose. But my vote for promo of the year is the one guy that actually destroyed AEW that destroys the things we love. And that would be CM Punk. Because while Drew McIntyre, I believe, made the feud between those two, it takes two to tango, and CM Punk more than held his end of the bargain. And particularly for what he's doing with Seth Rollins now, of this whole, like, I don't think about you at all. And some of this, and you could just tell that he really, really is in his element right now. And it's so good. It's just so nice to see this dude happy. It's just, it's such a difference.
Because to be honest, CM Punk easily could have been another Bret Hart.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Look how bitter Bret Hart became to the business.
Without a doubt. And CM Punk is actually doing and doing things for the better. And I really appreciate that. And I think that while I kind of think we're in the same situation here, I kind of think all three of these guys have equally contributed fantastic work to make equal things valuable that they're doing. And I mean, even what Drew is doing now with this like weird truce with Solo's bloodline, and where a case is being made for everything he's done. The amount of heel reasoning in this company it
is tremendous.
It's unreal just how basic thought can really help a wrestling program.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If I'm going to lean one way or another, the issue that Gunther has kind of had is that, especially the first half of the year, he didn't really have anybody to work with.
True.
And really, he should have put Chad Gable over instead of Sami Zayn. Not that Sami didn't benefit from it, but Chad could have used it more.
Yeah.
Having said that, Drew McIntyre had to carry a feud, not just a feud, but also other things that are going around. He made the Damian Priest match interesting. He made other matches around him interesting without CM Punk being there. And that kind of gets it over for me, why I want to nominate him as the winner.
Well, and to be fair also, if Drew McIntyre wasn't the guy who was that much of a lure, we wouldn't have seen Damian Priest and Seth Rollins both afraid that he will just show up, knowing how volatile he is. even though that did not, to me, help the match or the concept of Money in the Bank at all. But that's a different story for times that we've already talked about / through baby rage fits about.
And about ready in 10
Drew
minutes.
McIntyre.
You should do your insulin.
Drew is your winner, insulin and all. But don't be hamish about it. All right. Well,
So
Drew
McIntyre.
Yeah, so Drew, I think so. Do you not? I think that Drew is the winner there, and he has won already 2 of the best grapplies here in this 4th annual.
But again, that was a razor thin margin. Any of those 3 guys or anybody else could have won. Like Cody had a good talking streak. Kevin Owens is known to be a good talker.
Yeah, I almost
Sami
nominated
Zayn had
Kevin.
great promos.
Yeah, I almost
Like
nominated
this is
Kevin
the year
for
like
Hospital,
anybody in
so.
WWE could win these awards. It's just hard with so many great people on this roster.
Yeah, it's difficult to give out the best of awards when everyone's firing on all cylinders.
It's a good problem to have.
It is. It's a great problem to have. All right. Well, speaking of problems, it's time to go to the worst. It's the worst grappling for the worst tag team. Not that I've seen any.
Poor Sean. Honestly, Sean might give this Grapply the worst tag team to Triple H in booking.
You know, I could have. I could have.
It is slim pickings.
I
But you know
so
what
could
two
have.
tag team matches, 2 tag team championship matches you've seen on a pay-per-view this year? That not very good tag team match at Elimination Chamber and that ladder match that you hated.
Yeah,
That's
and like 3 different Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair matches.
Yes.
So, and they're not getting nominated.
You go first, Sean. Since
Well-
you're the saltiest, you go first.
No. Allow me.
Well, can I please read who last year's winner was before you start, Sky?
Yes.
Fair.
The worst tag team last year, I voted Top Dollars, also known as Hit Row. Skylar nominated the Bucks for the 3rd consecutive year. Joshua nominated Butch and Ridge Holland, and the Young Bucks won for the 3rd consecutive year. So
So
Skylar,
why break Christmas tradition? Let's make it 4 in a row. Listen, and again, it's not even about the matches. It's the booking of themselves.
You're right.
Booking themselves over the other tag
You're
teams
right.
of AEW because they have to get that one last ride. Come on, boys. Is this even a conversation?
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, CJ? I see you watching over there. I know you're here, but I don't know. So the Young Bucks, Josh Geddon, your nomination.
My nomination is a tag team that they are beyond ice cold. Like, ice cold, like ice itself, glaciers, like below 0 temperatures, looks at them and it's like, my God, get a blanket. They suck. They can't talk. They can't do anything except drive viewers away. They are so horrifically stupid and childish. They were tag team champions for months and never defended the titles. And they're also EVPs of the company they work for. And they were like, let's release the footage and narrate over it. And further sink our company into the dirt, into the ground. for
Oh,
months it
man.
can. I am also nominating the Young Bucks. Holy shit.
We are
They were at their absolute dirt worst this year.
Guys, we're going to have to
Every
send them a
match
trophy case if we keep sending them belts. Like,
Every match they were in either sucked or I skipped.
this is 3 to 4
Of the
years.
3 of us,
Oh,
of
man.
the 3 of us, I was the one that watched AEW pay-per-views the most. I always skip their multi-100-man tag team matches. They're always in them.
Wow. Well,
And, every other dumb thing they've done this year. They have such
Come on. They tombstone Tony Khan.
yeah, they Meltzer driver Tony
and
Khan.
they became irrelevant immediately.
Yeah.
And then they tried to do another company takeover gimmick with other people a month later, and that also sucked.
They've
And it's
tried
going
like
nowhere.
6 of those this year alone.
I want AEW to go out of business so bad. It is embarrassing that they are still do.
They got renewed this year. They got renewed.
Because Time Warner hates money. Have you seen Joker 2? I know you haven't, but don't.
No, I have not.
Me.
Well,
they saw that part of The Dark Knight where the Joker lit a mountain of cash on fire, and they were like, let's run with that.
Well,
let's do that.
I have a nominee just for something else, but it's funny that the team I wrote down was actually the Young Bucks and Okada. And so, once again, this is 4 years in a row, you guys. You guys are crushing it. Getting these. You suck grapplies.
Every year they get worse.
This is like, you know what? They've won more gold with us than they have with AEW. And
and they'll defend this belt just as often.
Yeah, they've actually successfully defended this belt more than they do their own company. And that's really something. But
a solid point.
But for the sake of somebody else, I am going to also nominate the new reformed Wyatt 6, because they started out strong and did exactly what every other Wyatt thing did and just go nowhere. They're feuding with the Final Testament and the Miz right now.
I actually do not agree with that at all. And Karrion Kross is turning that stuff around.
Karrion Kross is starting to get better. I saw a promo of his not too long ago that I actually enjoyed.
I'm actually really getting into this Wyatt 6 versus Final Testament thing. I wouldn't write it off just yet.
But here's the thing, is that the Wyatt 6 did that horrible segment with Chad Gable getting murdered. And it came back to life. And I knew from the beginning that they were going to amount to nothing, and I'm not wrong.
Yes, you are. I disagree.
Well, they didn't amount to much here in 2024, so let's call it a really low simmer. Like, it still looks like raw potatoes right now, at least for me. But that does not.
I have faith.
But here's the thing: are they destroying the WWE from its core and have been for the past 5 years? No, they have not. There is really only one clear-cut winner of this. And
they aren't allergic to having fans.
Actually, you know what? I take this back. They actually have not won 4 years in a row. I do believe the Street Profits won the first 2 years.
That is true. Thankfully, the Street Profits have largely been a non-factor this year.
Yeah, they've kind of they've left us alone, and that we just did that. And number one, okay.
Just shitting and pooping somewhere else.
Now, here's something I believe we're going to end up with mailing a third one of these out to the same person, but this is a big one here. Male Wrestler of the Year.
Oh, that is a tough one. There's so much to pick from.
There's a lot of good choices.
Who won it last year?
So last year, the Best Wrestler of the Year, I nominated Seth Rollins, Skylar nominated CM Punk, Joshua nominated Gunther, and I somehow was able to make some level of mass hypnosis work on the two of you and call Seth Rollins the winner. So
basically, Seth Rollins was the workhorse of 2023, keeping the WWE together. That's kind of the basis of his feud with CM Punk, is that I was the guy that took the WWE and took it to new heights. You're the one that went home.
Yeah, and that's all going to be wonderful. And speaking of, it is kind of in that vein. It is because CM Punk got hurt and Seth ended up being kind of preoccupied with other things that leads me to my nomination. It could have very easily been the detriment of all involved at the Royal Rumble when CM Punk's tricep was torn and he had to get surgery, and it derailed every plan that they were going with one of the hottest returns that WWE has arguably had since Brock Lesnar. But it takes another kind of guy to fully cement a heel turn out of it and become one of the most interesting wrestlers in WWE after being stagnant, just completely stagnant for the past 2 or 3 years. And, basically since that WrestleMania with Bobby, it's been a whole lot of blah. And it's not this guy's fault, but he needed this. And he needed this reinvention. He needed the layers. And now, basically, anything he does is something I am 1,000% captivated in watching. All I need to see is the name, and I'm like, yes, Daddy Moore. Because my nomination for Male Wrestler of the Year is Big Daddy Drew.
It's a solid pick.
Josh again.
My pick of the year is a man who, well, when CM Punk got injured earlier this year, that kind of left a void. And there was one man who really picked up the slack and has honestly been having a career renaissance. Basically, I'm all but repeating every point that my good friend Sean just made. It's Big Daddy Drew. Big Daddy Drew. All the way. Yes, Drew McIntyre.
Skyler.
Okay. Am I being outvoted here?
Yes.
Well, who you got? Make your case.
I mean, are we not missing the guy who finished his story and has become the face of the WWE? No disrespect to Drew McIntyre, but this is the man who the entirety of WrestleMania was basically built around, and to one of the most emotional moments of the entirety of wrestling in maybe the last 30 years. I can't remember a championship victory that was that emotional, besides the one that happened at 20 that we can't talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe 30.
Daniel Bryan was pretty
then,
freaking
I don't
emotional,
know if 30
though.
had the groundswell of, like, this moment. I don't know. Every 10 years, the WrestleManias, they have the most emotional moments. And this was that finally winning the belt for Daddy. And not Drew McIntyre, the American Dream. It has to be Cody Rhodes.
I contemplated nominating Cody Rhodes because I love Cody Rhodes, and that was we'll get to it, one of the best moments of the year.
Yeah.
But after that, there was a couple months where I mentioned earlier, Cody was playing a game, and he was like, I'm going to take a break from the main story, and I'm going to do a bunch of side quests to increase my stats. And while there wasn't anything wrong with that, it just kind of felt meandering. And I enjoyed his matches with AJ Styles. I enjoyed his match with Logan Paul. I enjoyed his other stuff. But for consistent, all killer, no filler, Drew McIntyre.
Now,
Cody was all killer, some filler.
I propose. Here's the difficulty, okay? Because, like, you know how I always, became kind of a running joke this year that I kept getting mad because Cody Rhodes matches weren't going on last?
Yeah.
But let me tell you something, guys. Here we are at the end of the year, but that does make an impact. When you have a moment that was such a heart swell, like WrestleMania 40, and you have that kind of momentum, the rocket ship on your back, and then AJ, all right. And then Kevin Owens at first. Logan Paul. And then what started happening later on, where let me team up with Roman Reigns. It's like even Cody's reign wasn't about Cody, because we were always wondered and were worried that Cody's reign would not be as motivating and as captivating as the chase. And I think to some degree, that's true. However, I think with the way that they've started teasing where Cody's going at the end of this year, you can make the case. But where Cody loses points that Drew has gained is that Cody's promos of late have seemed very stagey to me. In a way that I have not necessarily loved. Where Kevin Owens has felt believable. Cody has felt like he's rehearsed his shit a little bit. And it's not his fault at all. And I think what we're going to get in 25 out of Cody is also going to be terrific. But I think that where Cody has kind of had the pressure of being a certain thing and had these certain feuds, Drew has basically been going out there and crushing every single moment that he's been asked to crush. And nobody really had anticipated Drew getting that layer of depth to him, where Cody is just starting to add some depth to him, because I think Josh again kind of put it well. Cody was defending the belt and being the fighting champion. And that works somewhat, but if you don't have guys who are of equal measure, and they really don't have guys of equal measure who could realistically take the belt off of Cody, except for a handful of dudes. So you're really left in a difficult position. I would be welcome.
And you know what? The other thing too that I will make the argument for Drew McIntyre.
Please.
He did not need a belt in order to make him interesting.
That is very true.
In fact,
Drew McIntyre has done everything this year without the need of a championship, although he has had a championship gold. It's just that Drew has been compelling on his own, and the story and the emotion that he has told without the need of a title, even though it was in the pursuit of a title, has been more compelling than Cody after he got the belts.
Right. But this is a tough one. I would say that this is like
this is a very tough one, but I will concede that Drew McIntyre has had the better year.
Well, and I will also say that like Cody is going to get an honorary one of these two because I think he equally deserves it, to tell you the truth. Like I think both of these guys. I don't want to say we should call it a tie, but we should call it a tie.
No. If we have to go one way, and we're going to be firm about it, I think Drew has deserved it. Cody is definitely an honorary mention. We didn't even nominate Gunther. That's how crazy this year's been. We didn't even nominate the guy who's had the best matches.
You know how big of a raging boner I have for that Austrian.
Well, I thought there was going to be more to that, actually. I thought you were going to make some additional case. But I was like, oh, that's the whole thought. Okay.
That was the whole pitch. He gets me horny.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. Gunther has had a very interesting year because he's had to add some depth beyond I just dominate everybody. He's had to start showing some level of insecurity, and I think that's been difficult for people to grab, but they're with it. And they're really starting to cheer him, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Gunther here in this calendar year. 2025, I think, is going to do him some good. Die roll. Okay. We are at the best tag team of the year.
Best tag team.
So, I kind of think that there is really only one winner to this, although you could kind of make the case for a couple. But I'm going to, let's talk about last year first. The best tag team last year, I nominated Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Skylar nominated the Judgment Day. Joshua nominated Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And I actually think Skylar should have won, and we should not have overruled him, considering how Owens and Zayn were for the rest of the year. But Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn won last year, and they have done dick all of shit with that since. So, your nomination, Skylar, because I feel like your nominee got robbed a little bit, for Tag Team of the Year.
Okay, but this is the hard part, is that what tag team has had a great year? We're talking about Drew McIntyre and Gunther and Cody Rhodes and CM Punk and Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley and all this other stuff. Which tag team has reached those levels?
Well, no one, because they don't ever show them on their premium live events.
And that's why this tag team is going to get nominated by me by default, because at least they got to the premium live events. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, the Ab Mafia. The Ab Mafia.
Wow. The Rodette Warriors. Yes. Yes.
I would have gone Road Warriorettes, but Rodette Warriors is funnier.
Yes. And Josh, again, your nominee for Tag Team of the Year.
What tag team? Like, they've done, like, that's been one of the holes in Triple H's booking this year, and since he got the book, and has been a thing with WWE for a while.
Forever.
Tag teams aren't important in WWE. They just aren't.
They're not.
I nominated these guys because I enjoyed how quickly they won the tag team titles, and I was like, oh, I know those guys. And I never thought that I would ever see them in WWE, let alone with tag team titles. Just because they did something, Motor City Machine Guns. But I'll probably concede to Skylar's pick because they were at least on pay-per-views, and they gelled very well.
Well, might I add, because we're not going to be able to do Best Faction because there's really only one, so I didn't even add that into the list. But I'm going to nominate the Bloodline 2.0 because there's something. I mean, look at them. I mean, they won the tag belts. They only lost them because Tonga Loa is ass. They've got a
You're not making a great case for your pick, man.
They've got a screeching banshee that's getting over for being a screeching banshee, and fucking Jacob Fatu. Period.
Oh my God, that dude.
But here's the thing: are we including Jacob Fatu in this?
He held the belt. And then they switched it to the Gorillas of Destiny, and that's when they lost it because they were going to protect Jacob Fatu. And that was the whole thing. And it wouldn't have mattered as much if the Motor City Machine Guns had beaten somebody else.
Okay, fine. Because we're including Jacob Fatu in there too, I'll go for just Bloodline. Goddamn.
But get well soon, Jade. Would you like to make the case for Jade Cargill, Josh Agedin?
Again, I just whoever wins. I kind of just want to move on from this one because again, there's nothing really.
Do better.
We're grasping at straws for this nomination.
Yeah, do better tag team booking, WWE, or just literally cause FTR to break the law and start rehabbing them. Because we need them back, even though they're moronic, but we need them back.
And who even watches NXT?
Dude, Cash Wheeler already tried breaking the law.
That's true. That's true. You should do that and say, Tony, we're out of here because we are unrecognizable anymore. And ain't that the truth?
But they whine on X a lot.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people who whine on X. If we had a whine on X category, the entirety of AEW would fucking win it. But
one dude in particular.
Yeah. Well, in any case, we are now this is going to be an interesting one. It's time for the worst Grapply because we haven't done too many shitties. So it's time for some shitties. It is the worst male wrestler of the year.
Oh, boy.
Last year, the worst male wrestler of the year, I nominated Jon Moxley, Skylar nominated MJF, and Joshua nominated Jack Perold. And John Moxtard is what I wrote down for the winner. You don't believe me, folks. It's right there. It's right there. John Moxtard. Anyway, so because I won, Skylar, you mentioned something earlier about Christmas traditions. But I'm actually going to break them because I'm not going to nominate Moxley, even though I've seen more of Moxley than I cared to this year and all of his stupid garbage, and he is equally as part of the problem. There is somebody who I am nominating kind of in the same vein of why the Young Bucks got this Grapply again. Because it's not even that his segments are complete garbage. It's not even that he has the most insincere smile on the planet. It's not for the fact that he has probably, with his political power, shoehorned himself to be probably more Hulk Hogan than Hulk Hogan in WCW. And the fact that this guy has the balls to say some of the things he says and still try to make his segments mean something with he has been known to drop the ratings to levels below they could possibly even be fathomed. My vote is for the demigod, the ratings wizard of the Izzard Gizzard, Chris Jericho.
Ooh, an oldie but a goldie. I haven't even seen all that much of Chris Jericho this year, so...
Well, because again, it's not even just the matches. It's the impact of him on that business that has made such issue. Skylar, your turn.
Ask your question.
Skylar?
So, again, Christmas tradition, isn't it a wonderful time of year with friends, family, and retards?
Hey-o!
And how could I not nominate anybody else but Jon Moxley, especially for the Dev Rider stuff?
Well,
With Sean, have you seen any of it?
He tried to put chemical poisoning in someone's mouth.
The only thing that's riding death is the chance of monetization here on the Core Martial podcast. But but that's a story for another time. We'll have to work with our legal team on that one. But Jon Moxley getting a very adequate nomination. Yeah, the Death Rider stuff is pretty awful. I mean, it's just it's depressing. It's just sad and depressing, and it's Jon Moxley. It's everything you could possibly hate about, and the fact that we used to somewhat like his wife.
Yeah, and then she started opening her mouth, and then she was dumb enough to name a podcast The Oral Sessions, and was surprised that people made fun of her about it.
Wow, what a surprise. And Josh,
and then
again.
She had to change the name of the podcast.
I know. Josh, again, your nomination for Worst Male of the Year.
My Worst Male of the Year is actually not going to be an AEW wrestler. It's going to be a WWE wrestler.
Really?
Although the AEW ones you picked are solid picks. This guy, I like this dude, but enough is enough. It stopped being funny years ago. At this point, he's Black Eugene. R-Truth. Retire, please.
Is R-Truth really still a problem for you, bro? Like,
yes! Every time I see him on my screen, I want to die. He's Black Eugene. They have made him
Oh,
come on. He's not that bad.
I hate him.
Sean, like, he's pretty bad.
He's so bad. Like, I love the guy. I grew up watching him. I played as him a lot when I first started playing wrestling game on SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. I like the guy. He's a legend, but this gimmick where where he's basically Shibata if he actually had his brain removed but never had it put back in. I hate it. It's the worst.
Well,
there's only so many times you can do the same joke until it's gone even further beyond not funny anymore. It's gone from stop doing that, it's not funny anymore, to I will literally kill you if you make this joke again.
We forgot to nominate Miz and R-Truth, who were Raw Tag Team Champions this year, for our Tag Team of the Year.
And we all know how I feel about The Miz. The Miz has actually just been largely a non-factor, and I actually kind of like what he's been doing with the final. Think about this. I just said out loud, I like what The Miz is doing with the Final Testament. What is happening in our universe right now? But I'm done with R-Truth. He's my vote for Worst of the Year.
Okay, but again, how could you get over any of the stuff with Jon Moxley?
I am willing to consider Moxley, though.
Yeah, I am too. Congratulations, the Two Timers Club for Worst Wrestler of the Year. Jon Moxley, you are crushing it, bro.
And a strong contender for 2025.
And he's the champion right now.
Oh my god. Dude, we might as well rename, since he keeps winning it and I nominated R-Truth, we might as well change the worst Grapply for Worst Wrestler of the Year to the Make-A-Wish Award.
Oh, God. No, because then Cena would grant them to everybody. We can't do that.
Maybe they'd be better if John Cena would.
Maybe they're. You know what? You're right. Maybe they would be better. Oh man, we're okay. Here we go. Next up is the Best Female Wrestler of the Year. So, last year we had Rhea Ripley from me, Rhea Ripley from Josh Ageddon, and Bianca Belair from Skylar, because that is his perennial nominee. And Rhea Ripley won. Now, this is going to be a very interesting one because I don't think Rhea Ripley can win this again. But I might be surprised. So why don't we start with Skylar?
Okay.
You caught me with a piece of ham in my mouth.
Boy, if I had a nickel for every time I have heard that in my life.
I love that the second we start talking about women, Skylar has meat in his mouth.
That's right. Well, and folks, if you want to see meat fighting each other, tune into Josh Ageddon's TAW gaming channel. There's a lot of meat slapping around. A lot of big meat slapping around, including a Christmas match that he put up today. Pepsi Man versus Omega Elfberg for the TAWTF channel. Don't go now. Stay here. Listen to the rest of this. Then go watch it.
if you're watching this on TAW Gaming, hopefully you've already seen it.
You
'cause
better
it was
have already
yesterday.
watched it and commented then.
Even though we're recording it today, which is now yesterday,
Yeah.
but it is today.
Then you have no excuse.
Yes, and I
So-
will find you and I will kiss you.
And
Okay,
don't make it
but
weird,
besides the
dude.
awkward
We
threats
just
of,
reeled
weird
him in.
sexual assault.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, Skylar, whatever.
Besides the weird threats of sexual harassment that Joshua just did,
You think this is bad? You should work with me at Pizza Hut. I'm legendary there.
Yeah.
I don't
He
want
knows
to.
his way around the pepperoni, I'll tell you.
I was about to say they keep the pepperoni far away from me.
Stop having the same brain. Continue, Skylar.
Make me, Sean.
How else can it be anybody else but Rhea Ripley, because she is the universe that the WWE women revolve around?
As much as Twitter hates it.
Yeah.
As much as Twitter hates it, just look at her ass and you'll be fine.
That is some pretty solid gothic cake right there.
That's usually what I do. And that's but I think there is a case to be made. No one's gonna like this, but she has to be acknowledged. And you know who I'm talking about. But let's be real. Would the Women's World Heavyweight Championship mean what it does if anyone else held it in the time that Rhea has not had it?
You're not wrong, but I don't like it.
I know
small
you're
amount of
not.
time
I
that
don't
Becky
like
Lynch
it
held it?
either. But Rhea got hurt multiple times, and other than the booking completely revolving around her, as it should, the person who was really able to hold on to it and actually make some level of value in her title defenses, except for the Crown Jewel one for a belt that's never going to leave that country. I sense a theme here. And where
You
she
gotta
randomly
remember
turned babyface for no reason, and then went back to being a heel. But beyond that, the person who has really held this women's division together while Rhea Ripley's been out has been the one who has a signature black wiffle ball bat. I don't like it, but I'm nominating Liv Morgan.
So you're telling me she's basically the female Drew McIntyre of the year?
I'm saying that
No.
she's like...
No.
Drew McIntyre was a woman, tiny, and should probably stop looking and acting like a Twitch thought.
I'm saying she's Triple H's Alexa Bliss.
You're not wrong. You are so not wrong.
So can we get the real Alexa Bliss back?
No, that was the old guy's Alexa. That was the old Alexa Bliss. That's the old model. This is the new model. The model Liv. And who would probably do better as a model, but let's talk about that a different time.
Yeah, on Twitch.
But you know what? To be fair though, this whole like gimmick of her being like a Twitch thought is actually what's working.
I know, because like literally every time we talk about her, that is my criticism of her. And again, they are watching our shows.
Yeah.
Because that's part of her gimmick.
Yeah.
And it works because that's what she is.
Yeah, and her romance with Dominic has really worked. You know, it's allowed somebody other than Rhea to actually have that belt and actually do something with it that feels tangibly like it's worth it to take it off her. Like you want someone to take that belt off her. Sadly, beyond Rhea Ripley, nobody else is in that stratosphere.
Yeah, that was what I was going to lead with when I made my nomination.
Which
as
is
good of a year as it's been, this is the year where I'm really starting to lose my patience with women's wrestling as a whole. Because it's almost 2025. And sometimes when I'm watching Raw or a pay-per-view, I still feel like I'm watching stuff from the Divas era. Looking directly at you, Raquel Gonzalez, also known as the black hole of anything even resembling fun or enjoyment, according to every crowd that she goes in front of. And people like her, like Zoe Stark, but
dude, I flipped
women's
book pages louder than the reaction that Raquel Rodriguez gets in those arenas.
Women's wrestling, if you're not on NXT, has largely sucked this year. Unless you're Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan, and sometimes Nia Jax, it's just either been irrelevant or awful. So there's no one really to pick, in my opinion, besides Rhea Ripley, because she's consistently great.
Yeah.
I have one criticism of her. One of the last time she got hurt is because she did a headbutt, and the first thing she did when she came back was a headbutt, and I was like, damn it, you dumb, super hot Australian, stop that.
Yeah.
When will you learn? When will you learn that your actions have consequences?
A, great reference. B, I'm about to make another one. This one is specifically for Skylar. So what you're saying is that Rhea Ripley is basically a hot Australian woman version of Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh. Oh.
If you say so. But yeah, like by default, Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
Like, I am so. I want to give us, although I do want to give a slight nomination. I'm not nominating her, but I want to give a shout out to Io Sky, because I think 2025 is going to be her year. It is shaping up to be her year, potentially.
Well, if she's got more spray paint to spray those trash cans, then it's going to be a great year for her.
I'm trying to give her a compliment. I don't want to talk about the worst thing she did.
I know. I just like being a dick sometimes. Go
you know
ahead.
what? I'm more mad at Tiffany Stratton just standing there watching her.
True.
Than
Fair.
Io doing that, because I can buy Io doing that. I can't buy Tiffany wanting to sync up her dive and her menses with Io Sky, but like this year was build up for Io Sky. She's gradually getting over, and I hope and pray that she wins the Royal Rumble in February and goes on to bigger and better things.
She
at
could.
WrestleMania.
She definitely could.
Yeah, dude, if we go Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky at Mania, I'm gonna be happy.
That might be something. Well,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit disappointed that Bailey and Nia Jax started out the year great, and then it kind of like tailed egged.
Yeah, it fell off a cliff with those two.
Nia fell off a cliff. Bailey just stagnated and just.
Oh no, Nia's been doing top rope maneuvers. She's been doing nothing but falling. You know, she's been flying through the air, attempting things,
and almost hitting people with chairs.
Yeah, almost hitting people with a lot of things. Oh yeah, we're getting to that. 8, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. The next one we've got here is another best Grapply right here, and this is for the best moment / action. And I get the feeling that I know what's going to win this. And
yeah, it could very well be unanimous.
This one, I don't really think there is any other choice. This is what began the healing process, as Skylar alluded to at the beginning of the year. We said one thing. We were so hurt by the trauma of the past 10 years, but we all said one thing that we required. Just one. All we needed was one thing. They had to stick the landing. And boy, did they.
I think you put it best the night it happened. They didn't just stick the landing; they landed the airport. Yeah,
they did. It was the best. I mean, it's the most memorable moment. There are very, very, very few moments I've ever had in pro wrestling where I have cried mid-moment.
I still rewatch it from time to time.
Every so often, I will just hear that 3 and hear Sam Irvin also start crying, and it makes me start crying. That's the impact that night had on all of the really diehard wrestling fans who had been through all of the hell that was late stage Vince McMahon WWE. Yeah. That was the sign that things have finally, truly begun to change. There is nothing that is going to top that.
Not only do I keep rewatch that moment, I rewatch the entire match because that entire match is fantastic.
It is.
So yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. Cody Rhodes finishing his story at WrestleMania 40. That was Mazel Tov.
Any objection to that, Sky?
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't think so. This was yeah.
That was the moment of the year.
Yeah, finish the story is definitely the winner there, and that was without debate. No need for debate on that one. All right, so we are next up. All right, we got a Grapply, which I should have called that from the beginning. Why did it take 4 years to name that? Here is the Grapply Award for the biggest regression. You know how we have the most improved? we have the most regressed.
I've got two good ones.
So,
but there's one that is going to beat out of the other one.
So last year, we had the regression session. We had 3 nominees. I nominated Austin Theory. Skylar nominated Charlotte Flair, who was... did she show up once in 2024?
She tore her ACL at the beginning of 2024 and was gone the entire year.
Guarantee you she's in the Rumble.
Guarantee you she wins the Rumble if she's in the Rumble.
I'm going to be furious. I swear to God.
Oh, man. You know what? Just for the fact that that would piss so many people off, I kind of want them to do it. But I'm a troll. And
I'm probably not going to watch the Rumble as it happens because I usually have work on Saturdays. If she wins the Women's Rumble, that is an immediate skip.
Yeah. And Joshua voted for Hangman Adam Page, and Austin Theory ended up winning that one. So the biggest regression I have, and I'm kind of cheating the rules here a little bit, but I'm nominating the entire company of AEW. No, but seriously though, in this calendar year, from the airing of that CM Punk footage on, no matter who they've signed, it has not mattered who they've signed, it has not mattered who they have pushed, it has not mattered who has retired on their name and their dollar, it has not mattered what kind of dream matches, celebrities they've had, it has made no difference. Their ratings plummet worse and worse by the day, and there's no one to blame but the guy in charge. Because it's that obvious that he's the one who's causing all the problems, that he has made literally every wrong move you possibly could have asked for, and there's nothing redeemable about that show right now. And the worst part is, and we're going to talk about this in another category, is that got renewed.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom line is, it's not getting better, it's going to get worse, and it's going to be, at some point, somebody is going to have a conscience at Warner Discovery and finally make a call here about something, especially now that we know that Rampage is basically done. But somebody's going to make a call here when the ratings start dipping below TNA's and go, what are we doing here? And
what is Rampage?
And exactly, it's that movie The Rock was in. And
and White King Kong.
Yeah. Well, but the point here is this. This company had an opportunity, but it was doomed to fail, and this year it shot itself square in the chest and has been bleeding out ever since. And I don't think there's any one wrestler who you could possibly say has regressed as badly as this company as a whole. Even though that regression has been rewarded, it is still regression.
Mm-hmm.
Skylar.
See, you took from my playbook and said the entire company. That's not fair.
I also stole your gimmick of stealing gimmicks.
Yeah, fair. Okay, if we have to name one person, this is tough because there's so many people. You have to say it's the one with the most potential, and that's Maxwell Jacob Friedman. As much as I like to bang on my fellow Jew, the man, I don't know if he's checked out. I don't know if he's like looking to become a movie star. I don't know if he's just like sold a bunch of goods. But oof.
Yeah. Yeah.
That wasn't one of my two, but that would have been my third.
Oh, it's kind of sad, truthfully. And Josh Ageddon, your biggest regression session.
Okay, I have two people in mind. One's gonna get it from me. That phrase right there out of context sounds hilarious. But my runner-up for regression of the year, just because I just think kicking him while he's down is hilarious, and he's trying to turn it into a gimmick, and it's not going to work because it's AEW and everything is doomed to fail there. My runner-up would be Ricochet.
True.
He's in mid-Carter in WWE. He went to AEW, and they literally did everything wrong with him. True. And then he started acting like a crazed, whiny little bitch on X. And now his gimmick is going, ha-ha! Terrible.
Bad.
Terrible, terrible. And his finisher is a clothesline. Lame.
Big bad.
I love kicking him while he's down now because he asks for it on X all the time, and literally everyone enjoys taking the piss out of him. People were literally throwing toilet paper at the almost empty arena that was AEW Collision when it was Will Ospreay versus Ricochet again.
Yeah, I didn't even talk about the ticket sales.
And even Will Ospreay was dying laughing because
Yeah.
it was hilarious. He's a punching bag. But my number one, my pick for regression is on the reason why I'm picking it is because of how sad it is. This dude, I love this dude. But like, what the fuck, man? You went to AEW last year, and you had some good moments. You had a very viral moment with your best friend. And then after CM Punk said some not so nice things on Ariel Helwani's podcast, it was your idea to go out on TV and do the most painful, cringeworthy, rah-rah speech with a microphone that was barely working. And then you go in the ring with your stupid Cope Open challenge and give people that are not anywhere near as good as you and will never be anything way too much offense because you're too nice. And then because you're an idiot, let's not forget that he also forgot how to do a flaming table spot. Then because you're an idiot, you decided, I'm a guy who has spinal problems. I'm not exactly a young buck, funnily enough. But I am going to go to the top of a cage, jump off and land right on my leg. My pick for regression of the year, because of how sad it is to watch. It is just, it's sad because I love this dude, and he's my dad's favorite wrestler. Guarantee you my dad's not watching anything he's doing now. My pick is Adam Copeland. It's depressing.
Yeah.
You know what? I have to give it to you because I want to like Edge, but not now.
Edge was one of the guys who really was one of the first. Well, not one of the first, but he was a guy that I really remember being full-blown disappointed, sold his soul to AEW. I was like, come on, dude, you didn't need to do that. Like, there's no reason for you to do that. And then the ass he's made out of himself since.
Mm-hmm. That's what lost it for me. Not because his early AEW stuff was fine. It had potential. But then the rah-rah speech with the glitching out microphone killed it.
Yeah,
that
was rough. Yeah, that was definitely rough. All right, well, we are down to the final 7 categories, and next up is the Grapply for the worst moment of the year, or worst action of the year, and this should be we've got quite a few nominees for this one as well, so it should be interesting. And I'm gonna get the last year the best moment or the most cringy moment. I nominated Ronda versus Shayna at SummerSlam. Skylar nominated Jackass Perry. Josh again nominated NWA Coke Fest. And the winner was Cry Me a River.
Yeah.
We got a few good ones this year. The one I'm going to nominate is the one that I fully believe if it weren't for them actually turning it around the way that they did, could have completely soured all of us on WWE as a whole forever. I'm nominating The Rock taking Cody's Royal Rumble spot because Rock and Roman was the better match or whatever it is, and were it not for the Cody Crybabies forcing The Rock's hand, that could have really ruined what ended up being one of the best WrestleManias of all time.
Dude, and The Rock trying to take credit for it afterwards, saying that was part of the plan.
Of course.
Dude, you were talking about the tantrum you had earlier this year. Remember the tantrum I had this year?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I had a nuclear level meltdown.
Yeah,
when The Rock took Cody's spot.
Yep.
I was so pissed.
Actually, we both did a podcast about it, I think. We were both pretty pissed about it.
Video where I threw away all of my wrestling DVDs.
Oh my God. I forgot that happened this year.
Yeah.
Oh. And you don't have any regrets about it.
Well, My mom actually dug the DVDs out of the trash can and gave them to her boyfriend, and her boyfriend a couple months ago gave them back to me. And since I was like, oh, I forgive them now, I took them back. So, but he still has a couple of my DVDs, so I all of them
Full
back.
circle.
Yes, full circle.
So your nomination, Josh, again.
I mean, I'm nominating that one, but I do have to give a hearty shout out to AEW's nice imitation of the finger poke of doom moment. Them airing the all-in footage, basically saying everything that CM Punk said that was not nice about us on Ariel Helwani
Was true.
He was right. And that somehow makes us the good guys somehow. Kind of. Not really, not at all. I have seen people shoot themselves in the foot before. I've never seen someone take a double-barrel shotgun and blow off both their legs like they did.
They lost a good 100,000 people basically from that alone.
And they are still suffering from that.
Yep.
They're still trying to do the Jack Perry scapegoat thing, and it's just so lame.
It ain't working.
He
That's
looks
the way you
like a
do it.
toddler in an evil goat costume.
Yep. Yeah.
Which he basically is.
Which he basically is. Skylar?
And yeah.
And I don't have a pick now because y'all took the two best ones.
And another shout out to Anthem going like, hey, TNA being successful, that's not allowed. That's not the canon event.
TNA firing Scott D'Amore definitely deserves a nomination on this list.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
It does, but again, it doesn't quite have the level of trying to take over the company by pile driving your boss in one of the least requested things I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's another good one. Can I add a few more to this list? The Naya Karana.
I was about to say the Naya and Rana, the belly laugh heard round the world.
That was, although the reason why that doesn't win is that was one of the most roll on the floor funny moments I've ever seen in WWE. That was one of the worst moments I've ever seen out of Nia Jax ever. I will also.
And Bailey, in that brief second where Bailey's like, how in the fuck do I sell and/or bump for this?
Well, yeah, that was
that brief split-second panic attack.
Yeah, the YouTube buffering logo in Bailey's head, that was very eminent. But here's what I'm gonna say. This is the one I'm gonna add one more, and this one I'm adding because of the significance of what it means going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Warner Discovery renewing AEW, giving up the NBA for AEW.
Imagine. Like, I don't even watch basketball, but I'm at least able to point out people actually watch basketball.
And imagine...
Who watches AEW?
Well, you say that, but the NBA is losing viewers too.
Yeah, the NBA's been struggling, but not struggling the way AEW's been struggling. You know, and the NBA at least has had some signs of some competent leadership. Not total competent leadership, but some competent leadership. AEW has shown no signs of said competent leadership, but I think that this lawyer, Mega Parikh, is more involved in that story than we know. But the fact that Warner Discovery looked at the entire landscape of AEW, from Jericho bullshit and the legless guy, and doing the Crown of Thorns spot, and the slap heard around the world, and Punk leaving and airing the footage, and Moxley, and the pizza cutter, and all of this stupid horse shit that is too numerous to mention.
Moxley gigging himself on camera.
There is literally too much horse shit in AEW to even list all of the dumb, industry-destroying garbage that they've perpetrated on 5 years of AEW. Warner Brothers said, more of that. In the same way that WWE is getting on Netflix, WWE is reaching more eyeballs on their product than they ever have before, and getting into stratospheres because their booking has become more competent than it's been in 25 years. While that's going on, Warner Discovery's going, we want wrestling too. AEW's got money, but they're not wrestling, but they're the closest thing to it, and we'll just settle for that.
We'll settle for the wrestling parody.
And the precedent that's set for network television and what they accept as far as wrestling is concerned is equally as problematic to me as any of the, like, the impact that that's going to leave on the wrestling industry is going to be equally as damaging as any of the other things that we talked about as far as this, the worst moments in CIW in this year.
AEW's history,
Yeah.
or AEW's continuing
Yeah.
history. Because it can only get worse from here.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's no way it gets better. The only way it does is if Tony somehow has this moment of ethereal enlightenment, like he was visited by 3 Christmas ghosts and decides that he wants to give his money to charity and shuts AEW down and just puts everyone out of work. You know, but seeing how that's not going to happen.
And the other thing, too, that like came up recently is that Drew McIntyre said, I'm still happy that AEW exists because my friends have jobs. And I'm just like, that's the sad part. It's there as the number 2 and still giving people money. Yeah. And I want people to have success, but not at the expense of the business itself.
And only at Tony's convenience. You know, where's Miro right now? He's in Bulgaria banging Bulgarians, presumably.
If your only defense is they give people jobs, then you have no defense. If that's your argument, there is no argument. It's supposed to be a wrestling company, not a charity, not a Make-A-Wish.
But that's all that AEW has ever been. It's everyone making Tony Khan's wish by taking Tony Khan's money that he's freely and openly giving away and just taking a crap all over him and any sort of legitimacy his company could have. But in any case, so we've got I think we have 2 really, really good nominees in The Rock nearly destroying WrestleMania 40 and basically anything involving AEW.
Yeah, but I think specifically the moment it went down was the second they decided to play that.
I think airing the footage is probably what wins the day because you can still see the impact of that. At least WWE had some sort of insight to go, oh shit, our bad.
Yeah.
Like, at least they figured that out. Tony has been no way figuring that out. In fact, he's made it worse.
That is the difference maker. One company made a terrible mistake, and they turned it into an angle that saved the show and made it better. The other company made a horrible mistake, and then the stupid Reddit goober moron that runs the company was like, I'm going to take a pile driver and wear a neck brace to a other sports thing. Why aren't people watching?
He wore the neck brace to the NFL draft, and they made fun of him for it.
And
yeah, because he was turning his neck around like he had a perfectly healed neck. Because he's just not, he has no awareness. That's what happens when you're the son of a billionaire, you know? It's like you don't get that level of awareness with you.
Yeah.
All right, 6 categories left.
As much as I want to go with Rock nearly destroying WrestleMania 40 and my entire fandom, they pivoted away from that and they fixed that.
Yeah, the key word there is nearly.
But Rock, you are on thin ice. Don't even think about trying to take the title again.
AEW is unsalvageable. So
yeah.
I'm conceding to the AEW finger poke of doom, the video of the all-in footage of doom.
It would take a miracle at this point for them to rehab from that. I truly believe that. But now we've got and this one is going to be a little bit harder for me, I think, because I haven't seen a lot of these AEW shows. But we are now at the Grapply for the worst show of the year. Last year, the worst show of the year went to I nominated NWA Coke Fest. Skylar nominated AEW Revolution. And Joshua nominated Double or Nothing, and Revolution 2023 won. So, Skylar, why don't you start your vote for the worst show of the year?
And the thing is, I haven't seen all the AEW shows, so I'm still going to nominate one.
We love your consistency,
That's
Scott.
why, hey, you know what? Exactly. It wouldn't be you if you didn't.
They have 9 shows because they have World's End coming up.
Right? They had Wrestle Dream.
I'm not watching that. I'm good.
But give me All Out Chicago just because that Hangman and Swerve match, oof, and the rest of that show, thumbtacks to a pussy.
Yeah. Those are words that have been said on this channel. A lot of words have been said on this podcast.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of words that have been said on this podcast. And so that is so we've got All Out in Chicago. Josh, again, your vote for worst show of the year.
AEW Full Gear. I skipped, like, there were so many things on that show where I was like, yeah, no. And I skipped. And it was just painful. And, like, I skipped the main event of that show because that was Moxley defeating Bryan Danielson, and I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah.
What show am I thinking of? Sean, talk for a second. I want to make sure I'm getting the right show because they all kind of bleed together.
All right, well, while
Wrestle Dream.
While he's conflating his dates, I will give mine.
Yeah, that was Wrestle Dream.
Oh yeah, you're right. Full Gear is when they had Moxley versus Orange Cassidy in the main event.
Oh yeah, that classic.
By the way, Wrestle Dream in honor of Antonio Inoki.
Yeah, he'd be so proud. Well,
yeah, definitely Full Gear because this is the one where they had Kyle Fletcher give Will Ospreay a jumping tombstone pile driver from the apron on the steel steps, and Will Ospreay was up on his feet minutes later. And I was like, that right there.
That basically says it all.
That right there.
Yeah.
The tale of two companies. One company makes a pile driver the most deadly thing on earth that could and will render you a helpless quadriplegic. Meanwhile, the other company is, let's do a jumping tombstone pile driver on steel and do moves after that, because that's not the finish.
Yeah.
Tale of two companies.
That sounds about right. Well, the nominee I'm going to make is going to be for kind of a reason, because I'm sure that you're probably both correct, but I'm going to give it this company has not been nominated because they haven't been relevant enough to be nominated for a while.
I know exactly what pay-per-view you're going to name.
But here's the thing. You got a great show. You've got a wonderful name. It's called Hard to Kill. And you have this wonderful show, and it's starting to get people on board, and they're slowly but surely like, hey, this company's starting to get it right. You know, Scott DeMaurice really, they've gone back to TNA, and they're starting to rally. That was the first show we reviewed this year. We were on a roll. Yeah, baby, TNA is back. And how do they build on this momentum? By firing Scott D'Amore and then airing the most unwatchable pay-per-view on earth because they could not come up with the quality production that was needed for all of the storyline building they were trying to do successfully, I might add. And instead, they gave 2.5 hours that you could not watch an hour and 48 minutes of. Because their production was so bad, to the point where the next pay-per-view drew 500 people.
You outdrew them.
I, as CIW, a E-Fed that ripped off their name 10 years ago, outdrew them with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Jimmy fucking Corderas.
That is a real thing that happened.
That is a real thing that happened. That is not, and the reason is that
joke. That is not hyperbole.
No,
that is the thing that happened.
This is not a stroke of the ego. This is facts.
Anthem was like, hard to kill, huh?
Hold my beer.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, and so my nominee for worst show of the year is TNA Sacrifice. Sponsored by John Cena, because we couldn't see it.
My God. That was sad.
But I'm sure one of those AEW shows, as far as quality goes, was probably way worse.
You know, specifically because I was somewhat excited to watch that show because I wanted to see what they were going to do. And there were some matches I was looking forward to. And 10 seconds into the first match, I got a huge blue screen that said technical difficulties, please stand by. And I gave up and I didn't watch the rest of the show. Like, I didn't rage quit, but I sad quit.
It was a sad quit because we all wanted to like TNA, and to be fair, they bounced back.
It is appropriately named because Anthem sacrificed Scott D'Amore, so I am conceding to sacrifice.
Skylar?
You know what the worst part is that like now TNA, they were actually doing kind of well the entire year because Jordan Grace was basically carrying them until Tessa Blanchard came back in, and now half the company wants to leave.
Yeah, and TNA cannot help being TNA, and it's the saddest thing. But I will say though, Jordan Grace also does deserve a shout out. We didn't mention her up with the best female wrestler of the year, but she has had a monumental 2024.
Absolutely.
She's one of the few female
And
wrestlers
it's
not
already
in
said that she's planning
WWE
on
to actually
going to
have a
WWE
name.
as soon as she can.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see her. The main roster needs her.
Yeah. They really do, because she's gonna turn some heads. Without a doubt, she's gonna turn some heads. But okay, so well, good. Hey TNA, you won something.
That's something that has not been said in a while.
That's right. You know what? I'm proud of them. From having a Hard to Kill to a Grapply. What a year for
Somehow they were
TNA.
able to beat AEW. That says something.
Yeah, what a year for TNA.
Damn it, we'll try.
Okay, all right. We're in the final 5 now. And we're into one of the best. It is the most improved of the year. And last year, we didn't really have a separate category for this because it was kind of just the... Oh, no, I take that back. We do. We have the biggest upgrade. My nominee was LA Knight. Skylar's nominee was Dominic Mysterio. Josh Again's nominee was Dominic Mysterio. And take a guess, the winner was Dominic Mysterio. So, Josh, again, why don't you go first for the biggest upgrade of 2024?
Funnily enough, I had one person in mind to nominate for this Grapply. And then we watched a show called Survivor Series War Games. And within 10 minutes, I changed my mind.
Bless you.
Rapidly.
Eric Bischoff style.
Yeah, because all I needed to see was Nia Jax almost hitting people with chairs. I was going to nominate because you had a solid year. Nia Kanrana aside, you had a solid year until I honestly don't even blame her. Whoever was like, let's have Nia Jax start a 40-minute match. That person needs to be shot and drawn and quartered. Maybe not necessarily in that order. So I had to reevaluate, and I cannot believe I'm saying this because, it's obvious. It's blind. It makes me want to go blind. I'm nominating Liv Morgan because she's gotten better. She's gotten into her groove, and I criticize her all the time of being an e-thought, and they played into that, which is smart on their part. As much as I hate it, because this is actually taking years off of my life, I'm giving Liv Morgan a goodly instead of a Grapply. Good job, Liv. You make me.
She deserves it.
She does deserve it. She does. Skylar.
So this is tough because improved implies a lot of things. Am I cheating by saying Gunther? Am I cheating?
Well, why would you be cheating?
Because he's been so much damn better, especially on the microphone. Like, yes, the wrestling has always been great, but now he's like so entertaining as a talker. It just brings me so much joy.
I don't disagree with that. I think that's an equally valid nomination.
His strong suit last year was just putting on the most amazing matches you've ever fucking seen. This year, he was more focused on becoming a more well-rounded, I need to up other aspects of my presentation. Yeah. And I can respect that.
Well, yeah, and I can too. And I will say it is in that same vein that I give my nomination. Because I truly believe that not every Samoan could do what this man did this year. This man was tasked with carrying maybe the biggest post-angle weight in history. And by God, if I won't say that the man didn't pull it off. This man could have been buried in the midst of the talent around him that was basically doing his gimmick better than his gimmick. So what did he do? He turned into a completely different person.
Yeah.
To the point where I am more interested in what this man has done and how he has grown, both in and out of the ring this year alone. This man has come such a long way. To the point where I somewhat feel like I'm buying him as a main event guy. Somewhat. You know, it's not there yet, but that's kind of the point. You know, and that's the way that they've done this has been so expert. The way that they've built him has been so expert. And he, you know, he was given his sink or swim moment. And he swam like hell, man. And I give him total credit for that. And I'm really interested to see what they do with him going forward. My nominee for most improved is Solo Sikoa.
Honestly, just so I can not nominate Liv, I'm conceding to Solo. Please God. Please God, anyone else. Yes.
I don't want you to nominate her either, by the way.
Nominate her, I barely know her.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God.
And that's by design. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I concede to Solo. I acknowledge him.
I love you, Solo!
I love you, Solo!
Skylar, do some yeeping or whatever the fuck Tamatonga does.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
So I take it that Solo
Are we taking it that Solo is winning this one? But Gunther is an equally valid. Both of those two have also very much greatly improved and deserve recognition.
How is Gunther not winning anything this year?
I know, right? That's crazy.
It's pretty wild, but it also is a testament that he's nominated for basically everything good.
Yeah.
He's been mentioned all night.
Mm-hmm.
He's so
But
consistent.
he's not winning it.
But he's in the conversation.
I think that just, again, shows how great WWE's roster is nowadays. Is
Yeah.
that there is competition for the guys in the best. You can't just be best at one thing. You have to be best at everything.
Yeah, it shows how much they've upped the ante in WWE with everybody. So, all right. So Solo Sikoa. Okay. Now 4 left here. Hurrah! And we have got the Grapply for the. Oh, this one's gonna be so lightning fast. This one's gonna be so lightning fast. It's the worst booker of the year. Is there anyone else we could possibly nominate other than Tony Khan at this moment?
Jesus, Tony. This is his worst year yet.
Yeah.
Like the sheer amount of, like, it's not even like self-sabotage. He's just dumb.
Yeah.
Like, he's dumber than dumb.
Yeah, there's zero awareness. Everything's great.
It's not even fun to make fun of him.
No. Well,
Oh,
especially
no. Not au contraire, mon frère.
I just want him to go away.
But he won't. So that's why we have to continue bullying him until he does.
Joshua, I heard the pain in your voice when you said that.
I just want him to go away.
Such despair.
I hate him so much. When's the last time you heard this man talk?
Oh, I actively avoid listening to that dude speak.
It is genuine agony.
The worst.
It is genuine agony.
Does anyone have any other nominees, by the way, before we continue? I mean, I want to keep this conversation going.
To another, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
There's no way that anyone other than Tony Khan is going to get this. This is, I think, I don't think anyone other than Tony. Well, no, Vince did win this the first year.
Yeah.
Vince did win this the first couple of years, but Tony has always been in the running, and he has been the shoe-in, hands-down winner.
He's getting to the level of late stage Vince, and he's half his age.
Yeah, he's doing the speed run of this thing.
Yeah.
It took Vince 40 years to get into this. He's doing it in 6.
Yeah.
You know, just we're all busy. Nobody's got the time anymore. We don't have 40 years to build an empire, snort a lot of coke, and then ruin it. We got things to do. We're busy people.
Yeah.
And so
Thanks for your money, brothers.
yes. So Tony Khan, congratulations. You continually suck. And now we will go into the worst feud of the year. Now, last year, the worst feud, there were a couple of them. There was Seth Rollins versus Fashion was nominated.
That was a good one.
We had CM Punk versus the Elite and Friends. And then LA versus Bray Wyatt, and CM Punk versus the Elite and Friends was the winner. So, Skylar, your nomination for worst feud of the year.
I can't pick Tony Khan versus Reality.
Hey, if I was able to nominate Seth Rollins and Fashion last year, I think you are more than welcome to nominate Tony Khan in any grasp of what the real world is. That's totally fine.
Okay, but if we're being honest, the Elite versus AEW, because it spawned some really god-awful matches and promos and segments, including but not limited to that god-awful Anarchy cage match thing where Jack Perry got hit in the head by the chair shot for no reason.
Or the other one where Darby Allin came out with a flamethrower and lit Jack Perry on fire. And then after being lit on fire, Jack Perry pinned Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, he did.
These are all real things that happened, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Migraine-inducing.
Josh Ageddon?
Speaking of migraine-inducing, okay, we all know I'm picking something from AEW. This feud was actually kind of interesting last year, but because of Tony Khan destroying his own prefrontal cortex with however much Adderall and cocaine he's on, and injuries also ruining it, dude, it was interesting and kind of fun last year, but a little goofy. Neither one of you liked it, but I thought it had some high points. This year, oh my God. I'm writing a book right now, and plot consistency is important. This feud is the absolute antithesis to the concept of having plot consistency. MJF versus Adam Cole, the writer in me is furious.
It makes no sense.
It is purely nonsensical.
It is the dumbest
to the
shit.
point where every time I see them on TV, I'm screaming, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, and people
they
don't
change
care.
their motivations every week. They swap heel and babyface like they're swapping underwear, and they both have dysentery.
I guess you're going to miss the panty raid.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Just to end it.
Well, I'm actually inclined. I'm inclined to agree with both of those, actually, because they're both doing a lot of damage. Mine is kind of like a joke answer because I really like, other than Jimmy and Jay, I have not watched enough AEW to even begin to tell you what is really bad and what's worse. And I don't think Jimmy and Jay is in anywhere near the league of these feuds that we're talking about here in AEW as far as being absolutely batshit awful. I think for the impact it had, probably Tony Khan and the Elite is maybe the worst. Because it really turned what was like a small little whirlpool into the entire drain opening up and all the water being sucked down the drain. But my nomination is going to be Adam Cole and a 2,000 calorie diet. This dude needs to eat. Somebody get this man a banana and a steak.
Dude, he still has a full head of hair. So I can't say he looks like he's on chemo. He looks like he needs to start.
He looks like he's still in high school. He looks like he's auditioning for the men's gymnastic team.
What really pushed their feud over the edge of awful for me was when MJF was like, you and Roderick Strong are gonna have 3 matches. If you win those 3 matches, whoever wins will face me at the pay-per-view. And they're
Because when the
both winning
fuck is
matches.
MJF a booker?
Well, I mean, if Tony Khan's not going to do it, someone has to. But then he was like, I've changed my mind. If both of you win, then it'll be a triple threat match, because why would I want you to gang up on me legally in a triple threat? And then Adam Cole doesn't even win and make it to the pay-per-view.
You know what my favorite part of that was, as far as inconsistency concerned, is 2 things. One, when they had Kyle O'Reilly tell Adam Cole, hey, you can't beat him because he's a dick. And then later on, Roddy gets beaten. Kyle O'Reilly's like, let me beat him because he's a dick. What? Wait a minute. And then the other part where they're like, all 4 of them are in the ring, and they're all 4 of them are baby faces, and they all call out the hero like, here, come out one heel and get beaten by the 4 baby faces like you deserve. How do you turn down an offer like that? Come and get beaten by 4 people to undescribable odds. It's like there's just
the writer in me.
It's awful. But as far as
like,
scarring,
I'll concede to Tony Khan and the Elite destroying the company that they tried to create. I'll concede to that, but my pick is like the writer in me is so offended by everything MJF and Adam Cole have done this year. Like, I thought when MJF came back with that stupid leg tattoo and he gave Adam Cole a brainbuster, that was it. That should have been it.
Yeah.
But they went back to it and tried to give me an aneurysm. And nearly succeeded.
Yeah. And they sure did. And this is the Elite's 2nd consecutive worst feud of the year Grapply. So they're crushing it in this department. They've got more pink belts than Brett. Now,
True.
we're on to our last worst Grapply of the year. We're about to make our suffering end. It is the worst talker of the year. And last year, Grayson Waller was nominated. Chris Jericho was nominated. Shotzi Blackheart was nominated. And somehow I convinced you two that Grayson Waller was worse than either of them, although Grayson Waller, to be fair, has done more promos on actual Australian television than he has on television. So, and good for him because he's defending the business. So I've softened a lot on Grayson Waller. But
yeah, that earned him a lot of respect.
It scored points.
Yeah, and also he doesn't get as many talking segments.
Yeah. The worst promo for me, I think, is the person who was advertised the most and is just putting people to sleep. She has the most boring delivery. She has the most boring lines, and she actually thinks what she's saying is entertaining, but it just makes everyone despise her worse and worse every day. My worst promo of the year is Mercedes Moné.
Yeah.
Josh again.
That's a I would agree, but like, and I might concede to that. I picked someone else. I picked another woman. Even though I do think, as far as in-ring work and character work, she's gotten better. Nia Jax still can't talk.
She's pretty brutal on the microphone.
Annoying bitch can only get you so far. And she's the monotone kind of annoying bitch, where you never get to the point where the annoying bitch gets punched in the face for being an annoying bitch.
Yeah.
That's not.
The problem is that there's nobody big enough to punch her.
That's right. Well, we can bring Tamina back. They always have great chemistry.
Absolutely not. Nobody's meaner than Tamina.
How about Ash by Elegance? We can bring Dana Brooke back.
No! Stop it! What did I ever do to you? Why are you doing this?
How about Ruby Soho? Let's bring her back.
What is this? Is it because I got a lightsaber and you didn't? Why are you?
It's because you keep picking winning nominations.
And then talk about pepperoni.
Oh, Skylar?
God. there's no right winner because there's too many people to pick. But if I have to go with one, I have to go with Mercedes.
Yeah,
I'll concede to Mercedes, but I do want to give an honorable mention, if that's all right.
Yes, please do.
I also considered nominating MJF. Specifically because...
You're not wrong.
Specifically because this year when he regressed back into the heel that he was before super best friend, super happy best friends time, it's just the same shit, different day. Yep. I've heard it. Wow, here's a controversial, offensive wrapped in a bunch of profanity.
Yeah, MJF got exposed pretty badly.
It's so old.
Yeah.
It's boring. Like his "I'm a massive dick."
Yeah. He's no Sagat, bro.
He had a brief month or two where him and Will Ospreay actually had a pretty decent feud over the international / All-American championship. That I liked.
Yep.
But after that, he went back into his feud with Adam Cole that just makes no sense in any semblance of any tangible reality.
Yeah.
His promo work is just so repetitive. But I will concede to Mercedes Moné.
Yeah. Well, Mercedes won 2 of these tonight, so congratulations to Mercedes. You can use them to sell and get some hair dye and some hair glue for your weave.
Congratulations.
And now we end on a high note, and this is probably going to be the hardest one to choose because we got a lot of good choices.
Is this our last one, Sean?
This is our last one.
Well, I do want to run through a couple things real quick because there's a few things I want to get off my chest. I know we didn't do it, but worst faction, I've got to shit on PFC, pure fucking cringe. Like, listen.
Is that the Sonya Deville led thing that I don't know anything about?
Dude, you want to talk about how Raquel Gonzalez comes out and murders every cricket with her general just aura? Pure Fusion Collective is the same thing. Sonya Deville is dead. Zoe Stark is even deader than that, and Shayna Baszler is depressing. What they should call Pure Fusion Collective is the lesbian job squad. Because that's what they are. They never win anything. All of them are terrible, especially Sonya Deville. She's so awful in the ring. That is my pick for worst faction of the year, even though we didn't really do that. I just needed to shit on them for a second because, my God, literally every time the letters PFC appear on the screen, immediate fast forward.
Fair. You also said you wanted to talk about how bad Tony Schiavone sucks?
Oh, yeah, worst commentator of the year. Listen.
That's a good call, Josh, again.
Listen. That's also a good call, Sean. This show is great. I'm having so much fun. This is the best show ever. Listen. I don't like Excalibur, and I hate Booker T. But only one commentator legitimately made me angry all year, because everything out of his mouth was the most nothing, just nothing. He's just entirely useless. People have said the phrase saying so much but saying so little. He says not all that much, but it's like negative, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it contributes nothing.
He contributes less than nothing.
Yeah.
Literally, his only contribution to the human race this year was when Mariah May was preparing to do a promo and he said, "Speak, bitch. Come on now." Because that was funny. That was legitimately funny. That made me laugh out loud. Other than that, he made me cheer Jack Perry, and that's when Jack Perry poured soda on his face.
That's what it takes to get Jack Perry over.
Get rid of... I thought we were trying to make Jack Perry a heel, not a babyface. Get rid of the damn earrings. Go away. Retire. Die in a fire. this set by Hangman Adam Page or Randy Orton, who knows at this point. They're both pyromaniacs. Tony Schiavone is the worst. He's so awful. He's so terrible. I hate him. When I would rather listen to Booker T, that's when you know.
I don't disagree with that at all. So we get to our last match, the best match of the year.
We're not talking about best commentator.
Who do you want?
Corey Graves.
Corey Graves.
Okay, he wins. Great. Good. Now we're moving on to best match of the year. Great. Love it. Love Corey. Love how much
he's still a little bit weenie shire, and that's still cringe.
Yeah.
He's also a decent contender for most improved.
Yeah, agreed. Corey Graves has been. It's so funny you both said Corey Graves. It's like, great, we win. That's it. Moving on. So, match of the year. Skylar, I'm going to let you go first here. There are a lot of good choices. What did you choose?
Well, before that, who won last year?
Want to know who won last year? Last year's match of the year was Drew versus Gunther versus Sheamus in the triple threat at WrestleMania Night 2 of 39.
Because he wanted to call the police.
That's right.
Or call the police!
Sean,
I felt like when we did the Grapplys last year, I would need to call the police to go for a wellness check because you nominated a triple threat match as a match of the year on your channel.
That's right, I did. Well, and we also mentioned Drew versus Gunther at Survivor Series as well. And then there's Omega and Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom 11. What the fuck happened in this category? And under Josh Giddens, I just have a lot. So I don't know what we were doing last year as far as the best matches concerned.
Well, last year we just said a bunch of matches, and then we just, tried to figure which one we liked.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of good nominations this year for best match of the year. What is yours, Skylar?
I'm going to pick the one that wins on emotional level but doesn't win match-wise. As a match itself, it was not particularly great. But as a storyline and a plot device, it was the best thing that WWE did all year. And for the emotions, the highs, and the fun returns, and all the awesome and cool moments, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
I get the feeling that very well could win here in this here on this night. But there are a couple other matches that also deserve some recognition. Josh, again, what do you got?
There have been a ton of matches this year that I have absolutely loved. WrestleMania 40's Cody versus Roman, that was a fantastic match. The Hell in a Cell between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, they revived Hell in a Cell. Like they gave that concept CPR and brought it right the fuck back to life, and it was great. There's as much shit as we give AEW. There's been some great matches. Basically, most of Will Ospreay's matches this year have all been fantastic. He had a fantastic match with Bryan Danielson. I think it was at Dynasty. He had a fantastic match with Swerve Strickland at name of AEW pay-per-view insert here. He had a fantastic match with MJF at All In that revolved around him. They actually made a pile driver. They actually had a story about a pile driver that was dangerous, which I wish they would do that with all of the pile drivers they do, except for just the one, but whatever.
If you had to give a nomination to the AEW Male Wrestler of the Year, it'd probably be Will Ospreay.
It probably would be Ospreay, I think, yeah.
Yeah. He's like the one thing they have right now.
Yeah.
But
and they're trying to ruin him too.
But my match of the year is not a WWE match. It is not an AEW match. It is not a TNA match. My match of the year happened, I think it was in February at NJPW New Beginning in Osaka. It was Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr., the rematch. You know how much I like just some old school grappling and technical acumen.
I do.
In 2016, Zack Sabre Jr. and Drew Gulak had a match that made me feel like I was watching an amateur wrestling match on WWE program done perfectly, and that was my favorite match of 2016. AJ Styles and John Cena can suck a bag of dicks. This match,
you're still bitter over that one.
I'll always. You have no idea how much I had to hear about that stupid match. Finisher, kick out. Finisher, kick out. And the Rumble one was even worse because it was copy and paste except with a different finish. But
it was John Cena and AJ Styles. It was a great match.
I don't care if it was Jesus and God having a 10-star classic.
Oh, did you see the thing on the internet where Jesus Christ had a wrestling match?
Oh, yes, I did, and I get it's his birthday, but relax. But
But Jesus has to go over, brother.
Well, yeah, because he's freaking Jesus. So Zack Sabre Jr. and Bryan Danielson had the best technical wrestling match of the year, and it told a good story. And Zack Sabre Jr.'s gripe was basically that Bryan Danielson used a high impact move, the running knee, to beat him in the first match. And he was like, when it comes to straight up grappling, you can't beat me. And Zack Sabre Jr. beat him with a grappling hold, proving him right. Plus, they did a fantastic job selling of injuries in that match. I love that match. That was my favorite match of the year.
Well, I don't disagree that I did not watch that match, but
and it's not gonna get the win for this category, but I wanted to nominate.
But that's okay. That's not what that was. It's about what match you thought was the best match of the year, and if I had seen it, maybe I would have agreed with you. There are a lot of really good matches that I did see, though. Drew and Punk and Hell in a Cell was a nomination that I was going to go with, but I also want to shout out the match that I basically said from the time that it happened was going to be my pick for match of the year. And I actually think that this match was better than their second match. Not by a lot, because their second match was also really good. But this one, there was something about this match that just from the opening bell and the way that the veteran was really able to keep this at a slow pace that he got criticized for a lot in his career, but perfectly matched his opponent. And the finish being so up in the air where you weren't quite sure whether it was meant to be that way or not. And to me, it was a great pro wrestling match, start to finish, of what they want. And you were talking about this guy, how he's always been in the conversation. My nomination is Gunther versus Randy Orton at King and Queen of the Ring 2024.
That's all. Both of them. Both of them were
really good, but that first match had a vibe to it.
Yes, it did.
That was just insanely good. I will also want to give
once Randy Orton got to the ring.
Right, yes, because that took a while. But I also want to give a nod, because we're talking about triple threat matches. I also want to give a nod to Orton's versus Owens versus Logan Paul as being one of the most fun triple threat matches that I've seen, where it did not feel at all like most triple threat match formulas end up feeling like. Because that was a tough ask for them, and those three crushed it on that night too. But my nomination is
I'll never forget that random dude barking at Randy Orton, and Randy Orton, "This is Sparta!" kicks the shit out of him.
When he kicked ISO Speed, yes. Yeah.
Turned into Pat James Regan and then RKO'd him on the table.
Yeah.
A PJ RKO.
Yeah. Good times.
But having said that, we have to also talk about the best Hell in a Cell match that maybe we have seen ever. That was so good.
It was really good.
I don't know about ever. It was really good, but I don't know about ever.
It's up there. It's up there,
definitely.
It's tough. There are a lot of good nominations this year. There are a lot of good nominations, and I've been fighting Skylar about this basically all fucking year. Seriously, I have, because Skylar has basically said since that night there's no other winner. And I've been going, I don't know. There's been other really, really, really good matches. But at the end of the day, it's not even just about the match quality. It's about what does this match mean? Mm-hmm. And I feel like we're going to be talking about as much as great as Gunther and Orton was, and as great as I'm sure that Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. was. I think and as great as Drew and Punk was, I'm sure one of the best matches that one of the best Hell in a Cell matches that they actually on the WWE Vote YouTube channel have now released the full match of, by the way.
Ooh, I have to watch later.
Yeah, so check it out on YouTube. That channel is a gold mine of stuff like that. They released a match between Triple H and Tajiri.
I saw that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of really fun stuff. I don't mean to promote them, but they've got some really fun stuff in there. But in any case, as great as Drew and Punk is, we're going to talk about that for years to come. But we're not going to be talking about the historical significance of any match this year, quite like we will Cody and Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm. That was the one that they needed to get right the most.
Yes, and did. And that I think I'm willing to concede, as much as I like Gunther and Orton, that Cody and Roman gets the W on that one.
I will concede as well.
All right. Well, so this has been a wild set of rounds here. Would you like to hear the full results?
Well, yes, I would. Read them off, Sean.
Yes. Before we come to our conclusion here, let me just write down Cody versus Roman, so I can show the lovely people.
You should also write down a side note that said, because Skylar told me to.
That's right. Well, that basically. But here is the whole sheet for all of you kids at home to see the whole thing. And I'm going to show you all this. We're going to read it back and forth. But here we go. For the best grapplies, we'll go on we'll start with the worst, actually. The worst male, Jon Moxley. Worst female, Mercedes Moné. Worst tag team, the Young Bucks. Worst promo, Mercedes Moné. Worst match, Jimmy and Jay at WrestleMania 40. Worst booker, Tony Khan. Worst show, TNA Sacrifice. Worst feud, Tony Khan versus the Elite. Worst regression, Edge. Worst action or moment is airing the Wembley fight. And the best category, the best male wrestler, Drew McIntyre. Best female, Rhea Ripley. Best tag team, the Bloodline 2.0. The best promo, Drew McIntyre. The best match, Cody versus Roman, WrestleMania 40. Best booker, Triple H. Best show, WrestleMania 40 Night 2. Best feud, Drew versus Punk. Best improvement, Solo Sikoa. And the best moment of the year, finished the story. Your final thoughts of 2024, and what do you expect out of 2025? Let's start with Josh again.
I think it's funny because, again, I've mentioned this before, the tale of two companies. AEW, this is their dirt worst year, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
WWE, this is the best year that they've had in decades, and it's only going to get better. 2025 is going to be fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we have no idea the depths of depravity and stupidity that AEW will sink to. Just imagine. I will probably have nightmares tonight imagining just horrible scenario after horrible scenario.
Can I add another one?
Sure.
Remember that Vince is starting another entertainment company? Imagine he gets a TV deal. Are we going to deal with a third foisted off piece, a third billionaire company by the man who was shunned away from the one that's actually succeeding?
Wouldn't be the first time he's forced his way back inside something that didn't want him there.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to 2000. I'm scared of and looking forward to 2025. Raw and Netflix is going to be crazy.
That's going to be
the last year of John Cena. 3-hour SmackDowns, which I'm concerned about, but we'll see what happens. Will The Rock try to ruin and or make WrestleMania 41 something? Or not at all? Turn Bad Blood into one mass hypnosis where we thought we saw The Rock, but he actually didn't arrive and the show ended. It was just, we all just had a massive hallucination and we thought we saw The Rock. Or is he actually going to be involved? We'll see. But 2025 is going to be crazy.
You just gave me a scary thought, Josh, again.
I'm afraid.
What if The Rock beats John Cena at WrestleMania?
They're not that deprived.
Thrice in a lifetime.
Thrice in a lifetime, because it's 1-1. There has to be a winner. And
There are so many other matches that John Cena has to have before that one.
I'm not disagreeing with this guy. He's, you know,
Besides, they kind of had their moment at 40. Like, that was the end of their feud, pretty much.
And The Rock won that. So, you know what? You're right, Skyler. You're right. You're right. And actually, the funniest moment of that entire match, which was it? No, because it wasn't even just get the fuck out of The Rock's ring. It's the fact that he was just throwing expletives afterwards, and it was just muted over and over and over again. Just you burp,
one impromptu category, even though we're wrapping up. I do want to say comeback of the year. I'm going to give it to The Rock because he nearly ruined the year, but then he realized he was wrong. And the final boss, not gonna lie, that was some entertaining shit.
He needed that just as much as anyone else needed a gimmick change.
Mm-hmm.
He needed it too. Skyler, your thoughts on what's coming for next year?
I do want to speak to something that we had talked about recently and that I want to say right now. 2024 was a struggling year for me. I faced a lot of things and it was difficult. And I don't know where I would be without the love from these two beautiful boys. And I really do appreciate everything that you guys have helped me with through the year.
Hey, we got you, Skyler. You know, we appreciate having y'all. You know, we've done this for so many years now. You know, we've got a brotherhood going here. You know, we're a bunch of idiots, but
get your ass over here so we can love you.
That's right.
Too cold.
That's right. Too Cold Scorpio. That's exactly. He's a wrestler, and but we could also be dancing with Too Cool, even though Scotty Too Hotty's the only one still here. And on that amazing note, 2025.
But again, to say that 2024 wasn't a great year wasn't a lie. It was a really fantastic year, and the potential for 2025 for great, horrible, or indifference is only going to go higher.
Yeah, and it's exciting time. It's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan. It really is, because there's a lot happening. You get to see the worst be the worst and the best be the best, and kind of be, and TNA be TNA, and you can be along for the ride for the entirety of it. And you know, kind of to echo Skyler's sentiment, you know, there have been ups and downs for all three of us this year. We've all had some pretty landmark changes happen in 2024 in all three of our lives. But I'm grateful that we can meet up at the very least once a year. But we do a lot of podcasts and stuff like that. But this podcast really cementing the friendship that we've had has meant a lot to me too. So I appreciate you guys, and all of you out there who have bared with us for the past 4 years, and all of our stupid shenanigans that we have foisted off as entertainment onto the public.
And even longer, because remember, me and you, our first review was SummerSlam 2017.
2017, that's right.
So Shinsuke Nakamura tried to hinder the gender, and he himself was hindered.
That's
by
right.
The worst looking Cobra Slam I've ever seen.
And while we take about 45 minutes to sell a Whisper in the Wind, we're going to take our first commercial break. And folks, thank you all for coming to this live stream to the Grapplies. We cannot ask for more than to be here and to share our completely relevant opinions about the 2024 with each and every one of you. And we will see you for the Rumble, which I think is the next time in 2025. Maybe we're going to have some more come up. Maybe we won't. Who knows? We don't. But you'll know when we know. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time, and we will be right back.
And to close this out for the Totally Awesome Podcast, I'm going to whack my laptop with my lightsaber. I'm bringing it back out. Ah!